Houston. Coming up next, we're going to go inside the numbers on this matchup. Some things that you'll need to know about both of these teams and what they will bring to the table beginning tonight in game number 1. We do that next on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan.
DFW's #1 Cowboys podcast. 1.2 million downloads and counting. Love of the Star with top insiders Brian Broaddus and Bobby Bell on Odyssey or wherever your top podcasts are found.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other.
from Orchard.com. That's Orchard.com.
This segment on 105 Through the Fan is sponsored by Classic Chevrolet. Texas, it's Classic Truck Month at Classic Chevrolet. Like you, grit runs deep. They're determined to get you the toughest trucks with the biggest savings. Over 300 new Silverados on the ground. Unprecedented one-time offers, claim yours before it's gone. This is Texas, this is Classic Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Back on the American League Championship Series pregame super show on your home of the Texas Rangers, 105 Through the Fan. Kevin Gray, Jared Sandler live from Maid Park in Houston as we get you ready for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. We are also live on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam and on YouTube as well. Search 105 Through the Fan on YouTube, and you can hit the subscribe button while you are there. We're with you until 6:30 tonight as we get you ready for the official pregame show beginning at 6:30 with Jared Sandler. Before we go inside the numbers, some big news, obviously, for the Texas Rangers today as the American League Championship Series rosters were revealed. And, Jared, two big-time names that are making their way back to this team in the rotation and possibly bullpen as well. Max Scherzer and Jon Gray both on the American League Championship Series roster for your Texas Rangers. Let's start with Scherzer, obviously, who has been working his way back for a while now, will be a part of this rotation going forward for this team in the postseason.
Yeah, I think, even if he's not ready to take on a full starter's workload, and by that I mean a guy that, if the production is, at that level, someone who could go 6-7 innings, he's going to start. Now, it could be 5 innings, could be 3 innings, could be 4 innings. I think it just depends. It depends on how he's doing, obviously. But, even if he does well, I don't know that he would go any more than 2 times through the order. And, even that might be a little optimistic. But he will be able to take some innings, and, the Rangers could have some sort of a piggyback situation like they've done successfully, not just in the postseason, but down the stretch in the regular season. And for Jon Gray, I think that, what he could be for this team is a weapon out of the bullpen, a guy whose fastball can play up. He already throws in the mid to, the lower portion of what we'd consider high 90s as a starter. Does that tick up as a reliever? Maybe to, now 97, 99. He's got a really good slider against a Astros lineup that is very righty heavy. Typically, I think you could see Jon Gray add to this bullpen in a high leverage role. Now, one thing that needs to be pointed out with Jon Gray, he's only played in 1 postseason game in his career. It didn't go so well. So, there's not only the physical side of a guy who hasn't pitched in a couple weeks, there's also the mental side of it as well, and being thrust back into a really big moment. So I'm curious to see how they use Jon Gray. It is possible they use him on the back end of a piggyback situation, maybe with an Andrew Heaney, but I think it's maybe more likely that this team, which is on the thinner side when it comes to high leverage arms, uses a guy that can throw the fastball in the upper 90s in a high leverage situation. Doesn't need to be 7th, 8th, 9th, but maybe comes in the 5th or the 6th inning of a game, and it's just hey, we need you to get 1 inning, maybe 2, and see where it goes from there. But I think it's possible. Jon Gray, I think it's going to be one or the other. I think he is either a huge asset or it just doesn't really work out. I don't know that it's going to be much in between with Jon, and hopefully it, in terms of him producing on the more positive end for the Rangers, because I think if it does work out, he can really change the complexion of this bullpen.
It's going to be a lineup for the Astros that has been tough to deal with all season, but let's start diving into this pitching matchup a little bit. Jordan Montgomery taking the mound for the Texas Rangers. Justin Verlander, who is looking for his 6th World Series trip throughout his what will be Hall of Fame career for himself. Let's start with Verlander versus this Rangers lineup that boasts one of the best lineups in all of baseball with Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and a cast of stars and others. What does Verlander's career numbers and versus what the Rangers look like and how he will play and pitch for this team potentially in this series here?
Well, the big one that stands out to me, Mitch Garver struggled against Justin Verlander in his career, 1 for 11. But I think Mitch is a big key for the Rangers this series just because he's going to be, at least to start this series, going to be hitting in that 3 spot. I think anything with Justin Verlander, though, we can get into this, KG. Anything needs to be consumed with the understanding that he's a different pitcher than he's been for most of his career. So, these numbers that he's produced against players, both guys who have had success against him and guys who have struggled, they're facing a different version of Justin Verlander. But Marcus Semion's a guy who's had a lot of success against him. He's faced him over 40 times. He's got a batting average over 300 with a couple of homers. He's the only Ranger to homer off of Verlander in his career. Corey Seager has had some level of success, but all singles. You look at other guys, Robbie Grossman, who's not going to start, has struggled against Justin Verlander in his career. Nathaniel Lowe, he's actually done well against Justin Verlander in his career from a hitting standpoint, not as much from a slug standpoint. Adolis Garcia has been fine. Jonah Heim has struggled. But Mitch Garver is the guy that jumps out. 1 for 11. That's a large enough sample size to draw something from it. But again, it's a different version of Justin Verlander than the Justin Verlander that we've seen this year, and especially the Justin Verlander we've seen here of late.
For a guy in Marcus Semien, because I want to stick on that real quick, for a guy that's hitting, 174 so far this postseason, what does he have to do at the start of the top of this lineup to start to get some things going and start to set the table, especially against a guy in Justin Verlander in that way?
Yeah, so Marcus is a guy who he's really aggressive. And so when he swings the first pitch and flies out or pops out, everyone's going to jump on him. Can't believe he swung at the first pitch. But really, to me, what you got to look at is, what was the pitch? Did he swing at a good pitch? And if he swings at a fastball in the zone on 0-0, whether it's to begin, the first inning or, any point of the game, that's not necessarily a bad decision. It's just he didn't execute. And I think being on time with the fastball is going to be important for Marcus, because it seems like he's been swinging at hittable pitches. He just has been missing them either by being a little late, getting just under it. So I don't know that I have a lot of issue with his swing decisions. He did have in his first at-bat of the series against Baltimore against Kyle Bradish, he chased a breaking ball at the plate for strike 3, and but those things are going to happen. You can't expect perfect swing decisions. I'm just pointing that one out, not to say that it stands out because, oh my gosh, he swung at a pitch out of the zone, but maybe people remember that pitch because it ended in a bat. But these guys aren't going to be perfect, and remember, the guys they're facing are good as well. The pitching they face is good pitching. The thing that I'm hopeful with Marcus, he has been a little bit better the last couple of games. 3 for his last 9 with a walk included. I think Marcus, when he's at his best, he's taking the walks when they come to him, but he is an aggressive hitter. And I don't think you want to change that. It's just a matter of when he gets that fastball in the zone or the slider in the zone, whatever it is, that he is squaring those pitches up and taking advantage.
Marcus Semien, throughout his career against Justin Verlander, a lot of experience facing him. 14 for 43, a 326 batting average with 4 extra base hits. So Marcus Semien knows a little something about having success against the Game 1 starter for the Houston Astros tonight. Let's switch sides and obviously talk about Jordan Montgomery, who has been fantastic, making his 3rd road start of the postseason going into Game 1 tonight. Chris, hit me with cut 1. Jordan Montgomery talking about preparing for this Game 1 start against the Houston Astros tonight.
Don't think there's really any way to prepare for a playoff game. You just got to go out there and compete. We pitched in a lot of sold-out crowds, and I know Seattle was rocking when we were playing there at the end of the year. So really just kind of stay as composed as you can and trying to execute as many pitches as you can. Compete.
Does that mindset jive with what you have seen from Jordan Montgomery, not just in the postseason, but so far in the second half when he's been spectacular as well?
KJ, I think this goes back to when Jordan Montgomery was a freshman at South Carolina pitching in an elimination game in the College World Series, and he just about threw a complete game shutout. And I know that this is not college baseball, but the reality is there was more of a spotlight, maybe more pressure on him pitching in the College World Series as a freshman than, say, in minor league baseball. Even though that's better competition, you're not on ESPN. You're not pitching in front of 20,000 or however many are at, Rosenblatt. You're not pitching in front of all the eyeballs on TV. He's established early on in his baseball career beyond his high school years that the big moment isn't going to get to him. Now, that doesn't guarantee that he's going to pitch well. He's still got to go out there and do it. But if he doesn't pitch well, I don't think it's because of the moment. Jordan has pitched so well for this team down the stretch, 2 playoff starts, but then also the 5 starts leading into the playoffs. Those are all significant starts, either just from the general standpoint of the Rangers needed wins to try and make sure they made the playoffs. But also, if you look at the opponents, he faced Seattle, he faced Toronto. The Rangers were jockeying for positioning against those teams directly, and he pitched really well. So I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him. It's interesting hearing him say that you can't really prepare for it, but recognizing that he pitched in front of big crowds, and that's something he's done. And let's not forget, this guy pitched for the New York Yankees, and just about every game when you pitch for the New York Yankees is a big game. Whether it's competing for a playoff spot, facing the Red Sox, whatever the case, you're always pitching in a big, under a big spotlight when you pitch for the Yankees. So he's got that experience.
So let's take a deeper look then to what these lineups are going to be facing. We'll start with the Rangers taking on Justin Verlander, a different version of Verlander, as you were mentioning. What kind of different version of Verlander could the Rangers start to take advantage of tonight in Game 1?
So Justin Verlander is not the overpowering, dominant version of himself that has made him one of the best pitchers of not just his generation, but really all time. He doesn't miss as many bats. He doesn't get as many strikeouts. His fastball is not as overpowering. He can dial it up every once in a while as needed. But one of the interesting trends is he's not throwing his fastball nearly as much here of late. He threw it almost 60% of the time in August. Since then, he's throwing it less than 45% of the time. He's instead throwing his curveball way more. And I don't want to say he's finessing his way. I don't know that would be appropriate. But he's just going about things in a little bit of a different manner. And that overpowering fastball just doesn't seem to be as much of a weapon for him. And you wonder, here at Minute Maid Park, since the Astros reacquired him, Verlander hasn't been nearly as good as he has been on the road. And I don't know if this is fair to say, but Verlander's a fly ball pitcher. And fly ball pitchers here at Minute Maid Park probably aren't going to be as successful if you're not combining that with an ability to miss bats, right? More fly balls put in play at this ballpark probably can hurt you. And over 34 innings here at Minute Maid Park since rejoining the Astros, or 37 innings, he's allowed 7 home runs. Over 37 innings away from Minute Maid Park, he's allowed just 2, to give you an apples-to-apples comparison. So that's not saying that Justin Verlander is not going to be good here tonight. He's still Justin Verlander. He still has a track record of success here in the postseason, but he is not the same pitcher that he's been in the past. And I'm curious to see how he attacks the Rangers, because that decrease in fastball usage would make sense. However, this is a Rangers team that when they have struggled with the fastball, specifically the elevated fastball. And so it will be interesting to see whether Justin Verlander goes back to that, or if he sticks with the trends he's established over the last month and a half, and maybe go more breaking stuff, slider, curveball, less of that fastball, because that fastball just hasn't been as effective as it's been over the course of his career.
Real quick before we go to break, because obviously we know what the Rangers present as one of the best lineups in all of baseball. Houston, obviously, with their collection of stars between Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve, Bregman, but the guy that terrifies me in this lineup the most, Yordan Alvarez. And I've compared him to a guy like David Ortiz, who was clutch throughout his entire postseason career. Yordan Alvarez from that left side presents a lot of problems. What specifically will Montgomery look to do against him to try to neutralize him in this lineup tonight?
Yeah, so Alvarez 1 for 3 in his career against Montgomery. Let's just put that out there. But, the thing that impresses me about Yordan Alvarez is, he hits lefties and righties. He's got a better batting average against lefties. Doesn't slug as much against lefties, but that's relative, because his slugging percentage against lefties is still over 500. That's an absurd figure.
Jeez.
But what I love about Yordan Alvarez as a hitter is he doesn't strike out a ton at all, and he will walk. So you get to 2 strikes on him. He's not an auto out, and the Rangers have had problems with Yordan Alvarez this season. They'll get ahead of him 0-2. They'll get ahead of him 1-2, but they can't put him away. And so that's a part of what makes Yordan Alvarez so special. And this is a Astros lineup, KG. They've got different personalities top to bottom. They're guys like Mauricio Dubon and Yainer Diaz, who are free swingers. Jose Altuve is not a guy that is afraid to swing at pitches outside of the zone. He's not a big walk guy. But then you got pockets like a stretch with Bregman and Alvarez and Tucker. Those guys are incredibly tough to put away on strikes. They are very good 2-strike hitters, and Yordan Alvarez is no different. And, yeah, the Rangers are going to have their hands full with Yordan Alvarez. He is the Astros version of Corey Seager. He can just totally turn the game around with one swing of the bat, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rangers pitch around him when the opportunities present themselves. The big difference is you probably fear what's behind Yordan Alvarez a little bit more than you fear what's behind Corey Seager.
To that point about the patience of Yordan Alvarez, this is a guy that's got an on-base percentage this season of over 400 to go along with the 31 homers that he's had. So displaying that patience and his ability to take the walks when he wants to, and his ability to do so, that could play throughout the course of this series as well. It is the American League Championship Series pregame super show live on your home of the Texas Rangers 105 through the fan. Kevin Gray live in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Jared Sandler live in Houston at Maid Park as we get you ready for game one of the ALCS. Coming up next, a little tale of the tape. Both of these lineups are extremely potent. Who has the advantage in these two lineups? We'll discuss it next on your home of the Rangers 105 through the fan.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant cash offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Even though that's an old adage, it's still very true today. And it's especially true of your old 401k. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, asking you to get that old 401k in sight and out of the company you no longer work for. But don't roll it into your new 401k. That could be one of the worst things you do. Of course that's easy. But when has the easiest way ever been the best way? Instead, call Trajan Wealth and learn about all of your options, including a way to earn an upfront bonus of up to 25% for your future income just for rolling it over. That's right. You could earn up to a 25% bonus for your retirement income just for rolling that 401k over with Trajan Wealth. Don't roll that 401k into your new company plan. Don't do it without calling Trajan Wealth first. Call 469-579-3500 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Thinning hair is normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate.
Once I started taking Nutrafol, I could visibly see my hair get thicker.
Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand.
Nutrafol has taken me back to the hair I was meant to have.
Join the 1 million people growing at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Paid for by Nutraceutical Wellness, Inc.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Boomer Esiason is on the fan. Check out Kickoff, getting you ready for every game. Sunday mornings at 7 on the fan. Presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it. And Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. It's Boomer on 105.3 The Fan.
Back here on your Rangers American League Championship Series Super Show here on 105 through the fan. Getting you ready for game one of the American League Championship Series between the Rangers and the Astros. Kevin Gray live in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Jared Sandler joining me live at Maid Park ahead of game one tonight. Coming up at the top of the hour, Matt Hicks going to be joining us on the broadcast to give us his perspective going into tonight's game, where the winner of this series, of course, will head to the World Series. The Rangers looking to get back there for the first time since 2011. Meanwhile, the Houston Astros looking to get back there to defend their championship. Let's get a little tail of the tape of these two lineups, because one of the things that we're going to be detailing throughout the course of this series and what we've done a little bit so far is the amount of star power between the Rangers and the Astros. And one thing, Jared, that I've been fascinated by in this series is obviously with the Astros and the way that they played against the Rangers so far this year, and you've detailed some of this, this is not a Rangers team that has any fear of taking on Dusty Baker's ball club, even with the success that they've had so far against them this year. What does that mindset do for this lineup going up against the guys such as Verlander, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, and others as a part of this rotation here?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been a part of the Rangers' identity all year. You know, first of all, they weren't expected to make a play for the division, and you know, they had it in their hands and let it slip away. But they had stretches during the season, you know, especially in the second half, where things just weren't going their way, and they bounced back. They overcame the bullpen struggles. I think situations that could have broken a team late in the year. I just don't think that playing the Astros phases them. That doesn't mean that they're going to win this series. That's not a guarantee. You know, at the end of the day, the Astros might just outplay the Rangers in this series, or maybe the Rangers outplay the Astros. Whatever the outcome is, I don't think this is a team that's just zonked out. And let's be real here. When you face a team that has been dominant the way the Astros have been dominant, not just against you, but really, you know, against the rest of Major League Baseball, sometimes there is an intimidation factor. But I think you got the right personalities with this group and the right leadership to where they realize that they can hang with these guys. I mean, they finished with the same record in the regular season against the Astros. Yes, the Astros had their number, but as we talked about earlier, some of those games were decided by guys who aren't going to be pitching for the Rangers, or, you know, the last series, the Rangers didn't have, you know, the same lineup that they have now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Josh Young was hurt, and they had guys who were out. And I just think it might not feel, it might not be as lopsided as you would think it would feel with the record that these two teams have against one another, not just this year, but over the last several years. Because, again, the last several years, it's fun to utilize that information for the storyline, but it's just a way different Rangers team and a collection of teams than the one from this year. And the one from this year played the Astros a lot closer than I think the record shows.
Let's start to break it down a little bit and go position by position as we look at the players in these lineups for both of these two teams. And we'll start with catcher. Obviously, Martin Maldonado, been there, done that for a long time. The 37-year-old, not necessarily known for his hitting, but at the same time, the experience and the defense that he has brought for years has been something that obviously the Astros have loved. And on the other side, of course, Jonah Heim, the all-star starting catcher for this team, who has been spectacular at the plate. Who has the advantage for you based off of these two going into this series?
Yeah, this one's a no-brainer, KG. This is Jonah Heim. He's a better defensive catcher than Martin Maldonado. Martin Maldonado ranks among the worst in Major League Baseball in framing and receiving. He's okay blocking pitches in the dirt. He's not very good at controlling the running game. Jonah Heim is better at controlling the running game. He's better at receiving. He's better at blocking. And he's a way better offensive producer than Martin Maldonado. Now, Martin Maldonado, for whatever reason, seems to produce against the Rangers offensively at a level way above his career numbers. But in general, we're talking about a guy who, of players with at least 1,000 career at-bats, is among the worst offensive players in Major League history. One area in which Martin Maldonado has an advantage is maybe game calling. You know, I think that is still a strength of his. But overall, the advantage goes to Jonah Heim.
Let's take it to first base then, where Nathaniel Lowe was able to get the home run in Game 3 of the American League Division Series. Maybe that's a springboard for him to be able to bust out of some of his struggles so far in this postseason, where he's hitting just 160 coming into the American League Championship Series. Meanwhile, Jose Abreu's got 8 RBIs so far in the postseason, making him the leader so far in that category. Who has the advantage at first base in this series?
Yeah, defensively, that's easy. It's Nathaniel Lowe. If you want to go with the bat, you know, Jose Abreu had a nice finish to September, and then, you know, as you mentioned, in the postseason, he's been really good. So Jose Abreu, no doubt about it, is the hotter bat right now. You know, over the course of the season, if you look at numbers, Nathaniel Lowe's offensive numbers way better than Jose Abreu's, but I think you've got to, you know, factor in the way these two guys are going. With Nathaniel Lowe, you're right. You know, he has been better lately. He had a big walk and, you know, was a contributor in Game 2 against Baltimore. And then in Game 3 had that 15-pitch at bat and then hit the home run later on. So it seems like things are ticking in the right direction for Nathaniel. If you want to put more, I guess the way to answer it is if you want to put more weight on the last 5 weeks, then you'd give Jose Abreu the edge. If you want to look at overall for the season, then you give Nathaniel Lowe the edge. It just depends on what your flavor is.
Let's go to second base because I'm so fascinated by this matchup because you've got a guy in Jose Altuve. Only one other person has more postseason home runs than Altuve, and that's Manny Ramirez with his 29 versus Altuve's 24. Meanwhile, Marcus Semien hasn't had the best postseason yet, but of course, spectacular regular season overall, over 100 runs, and did everything that he could at setting the table for the lineup for the Rangers. Who has the advantage at second base going into the series here?
Yeah, so again, Marcus Semien definitely has the advantage defensively. Jose Altuve is not a very good defensive player, and maybe the Rangers can take advantage of that at times throughout the series. It's just tough with Jose Altuve's postseason track record to deny recognizing him as the guy with the advantage. That's not to say that Marcus Semien, doesn't put up a good fight, and he, performs really well against the Astros. He's got a 19-game hitting streak here at Maid Park. So, this is not a unfriendly environment for Marcus, but Jose Altuve has been one of the best postseason performers here, his generation and statistically speaking all time. So with the bat, it's tough to ignore that part of it. I give Jose Altuve the slight edge, but that's not a weakness for the Rangers. You're just looking at two strengths right there with Semien and Altuve.
Let's take it to the hot corners. We go to the tail of the tape of these two lineups going position by position as we get ready for the American League Championship Series. I think I got a pretty good idea who wins this one at the hot corner because Josh Young has been spectacular so far this postseason. Meanwhile, Alex Bregman only hitting 200 so far. We know that he has been there, done that throughout his postseason career, but Josh Young right now playing on another level with what he's been doing so far in this postseason.
Yeah, now, the KG, I'll tell you this. Remember, Alex Bregman, again, a lot of postseason success, and what I love about Bregman is even, when he wasn't slugging or isn't slugging, he still finds ways on base. I mean, he walked 92 times. He walked more than he struck out. So I think if you were to look at the way the Astros have pitched Josh Young and the Rangers, just their history this year against Alex Bregman, if you want to factor those things into consideration, Alex Bregman has been a bear for the Rangers to get out. And this year against the Rangers, he's hitting over 300 with an OPS over 800, more walks than strikeouts. I would actually give Alex Bregman the slight edge here.
Ooh,
I'm basing it off of the fact that with Alex Bregman, that he is going to find ways on base. He is going to make pitchers work. That's not to say that I take Alex Bregman over Josh Young, for the next 5 years or even for next year. And Josh Young definitely has the defensive advantage. Alex Bregman has had a tough time throwing the baseball this year, more throwing errors than any other third baseman. But I think offensively, it's just tough to ignore what Alex Bregman does in terms of working the count. He gets on base at a high rate. I just think he is the safer. I think he is the safer play there, whereas Josh Young, more up and down, more boom or bust, especially with the way the Astros have attacked him this year.
Just to give people a perspective on what Josh Young has done so far this postseason, hitting 400 with an OPS of 1209, 5 extra base hits, entering the ALCS, of course, with 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run as a deep lineup boasts a guy that's been spectacular so far in this postseason. Let's go to shortstop then, because obviously Corey Seager, if Shohei Ohtani doesn't exist this season, you can make a terrific case that Corey Seager is the American League MVP versus a guy, that's right, who just won a World Series MVP last year, and Jeremy Pena. Corey Seager knows a little something about that as well. Who has the advantage between these two going into this series here?
Yeah, this is Corey Seager, no doubt about it. Jeremy Pena is, really, I hate to say not a contributor, but he's a guy that you've got to get your outs against Jeremy Pena. He is a free swinger. He doesn't walk a ton. He'll strike out a bunch, at least a lot more than he walks. And he is just not the same guy he was last year. He's hitting actually for a slightly better average, but he's just not slugging. I mean, 22 homers last year. He had just 10 home runs this year in more games. So he is not slugging a bunch. Defensively, I give the edge to Corey Seager, not by an overwhelming degree. Jeremy Pena can get a little casual, although he did make a potential game-saving play for the Astros in their win over Minnesota in Game 4. Jeremy Pena had a great year last year. Sophomore slump to a large degree. Advantage Corey Seager.
So let's start to take it then to the outfield. Obviously, for this team, you go to left field. We'll start there. Evan Carter has been the story of this postseason for these Texas Rangers. The lights have not been too bright for him. The stage has not been too big for him. Who has the advantage left field-wise when it comes to the Texas Rangers? And, of course, Yordan Alvarez, but splitting time between left field and DHing in the American League Division Series for the Astros.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, KG. Let's do Evan Carter and Chas McCormick.
Okay.
Let's put Yordan in his own DH category.
All right.
McCormick's going to play left here today, and that's a tough one because
McCormick's had a lot of success against the Rangers.
Yeah, Chas McCormick was like Babe Ruth against the Rangers this year at the plate, and he was like Andrew Jones defensively. I mean, he did everything right against the Rangers this year, and he has done it in the postseason. I mean, he was a big contributor for them in the postseason. So if you want to put value and weight against that, if you want to give Chas McCormick the edge, you're giving him the edge because of his familiarity, not only in this environment, his familiarity against the opponent. If you want to give Evan Carter the edge, you're simply riding the hot hand. Now, playing left field here is a little different because of the Crawford boxes and then the garage doors in left center. So Chas McCormick might have a slight edge just because of the familiarity. Evan Carter overall is probably a slightly better defensive player, but maybe not by much. I mean, both of these guys are top-level defenders. Evan Carter is going to get on base at a little higher rate. Chas McCormick might slug just a little bit more. But I guess it's another pick your flavor because the sample size for Evan Carter is not large, whereas with Chas McCormick, we've seen him do it in the postseason. We've seen him do it against the Rangers in a big way. But Evan Carter obviously has been one of the big stories of baseball over the last 6 weeks.
So let's take it then to center field. Leody Taveras in center field for the Texas Rangers. And you look at the lineup today for the Astros. Mauricio Dubon going to be in center field for the Astros in Game 1 here.
Yeah, so, it's an interesting one. Dubon's a good center fielder. I would give the edge to Leody Taveras just by a little bit. With Dubon, you got a guy who's going to hit for a high average, but he's not going to walk. There aren't many guys you're going to say, yeah, Leody Taveras is way more patient than him, but Mauricio Dubon's one of those guys. He walked just 19 times in just under 500 plate appearances. That is incredibly low. Now, Mauricio Dubon had a career year from a slugging standpoint, but I would give Leody Taveras the slight edge. But, again, I think this is kind of a toss-up. Again, neither guy is going to demonstrate a ton of patience. Leody will do so more than Dubon. Leody from a slugging standpoint with a little bit of an edge, but both these guys will slug it around the same margin. I think I give the slight edge to Leody Taveras, but again, another toss-up. And let's not forget, if you're listening, you're hearing a lot of toss-ups. Both these teams won 90 games.
Mm-hmm.
These are not separated by a whole heck of a lot.
One of the more fun matchups as we end our segment here is in right field. Of course, Kyle Tucker, who is as clutch as any in that Astros lineup, versus Adolis Garcia, who has been obviously one of the best power hitters in Major League Baseball this season. The advantage between Kyle Tucker and Adolis Garcia in right field in this series.
Yeah, I think the advantage goes to Kyle Tucker. And, if Adolis Garcia gets hot, he can carry the series, right? I mean, we could see this Rangers team celebrating, and Adolis Garcia is your no-brainer, ALCS MVP. He obviously has the ability to get hot. Kyle Tucker is probably slightly better in right field, although both these guys lost a half a step with their range. Adolis has a better arm, although Kyle Tucker does have a good arm. But it's just tough. I mean, Kyle Tucker had a near 900 OPS this year. He is one of the premier outfielders in baseball. So the edge here goes to Kyle Tucker. Can hit lefties and righties. And another guy who he doesn't strike out a lot at all. He had fewer than 100 strikeouts, almost as many walks as strikeouts. Kyle Tucker has the edge.
And it's interesting for Tucker, as great as he's been all throughout the regular season, struggling in these playoffs, only hitting 143 in the playoffs without a home run or a steal into the American League Championship Series. So something to possibly keep in watch for is if Kyle Tucker possibly starts to break out in this championship series, given his struggles that he's had so far in this postseason here.
Yeah, no, and he's a guy who has had success against the Rangers. So the Rangers are going to have to figure out the best way to attack Kyle Tucker because, he's not necessarily – I mean, he can be the guy that hits 4 home runs this series, but what he's going to be or what he can be is a guy who, just gets on base a lot and comes up with extra base hits and just is a pain in the butt to get out. He'll go down 0-2 and then he'll work a 9-pitch at bat. I mean, he is just a thorn in any pitcher's side and one of the tougher outs in Major League Baseball.
2 evenly matched teams with terrific stars up and down. Both of their lineups should be one hell of a series between these 2 terrific lineups for both the Rangers and the Astros. It's our Rangers American League Championship Series pregame super show right here on your home of the Rangers 105 through the Fan. Jared Sandler joining me live in Houston. Coming up next, Matt Hicks is going to be joining us to give us his thoughts going into this series between the Rangers and the Astros. We'll do that next on 105 through the Fan.
Welcoming new listeners to our clubhouse with open arms.
I don't know what to say.
Thanks for listening all day to 105.3 The Fan and through our Odyssey app.
We know you're excited because Cowboys football is back. With the free Odyssey app, you can jump back and listen to the moments that matter, even if you missed it live. Catch Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus on G-Bag Nation or listen to Jerry.
TV/Dallas Fan Cam and on YouTube as well. Search 105 through the Fan on YouTube and hit the subscribe button while you are there. We are with you until 6:30 tonight as we lead you to the official pregame show of your Texas Rangers with my guy, your guy, our favorite guy, Texas Rangers insider Jared Sandler, coming up here in in just a moment. We'll have Matt Hicks joining us live from the stadium as well. Again, you can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports if you are able to do so there. And again, we're live. Coming up in 19 minutes or so, we will have Derek Holland going to be joining us live on the program as well. So looking forward to getting his thoughts on tonight's American League Championship Series. Again, Matt Hicks going to be joining us live here from the stadium here in just a moment. So let's get you ready, though, for the American League Championship Series as we get Matt on the line here in just a moment. As far as these two teams are concerned, again, let me know on the TripRadio.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-1053 if you want to get in on the conversation. Rangers, of course, having won the American League Championship Series, having won the Division Series last series against the Baltimore Orioles, now back in the ALCS for the first time since 2011, and looking forward to taking on a Houston Astros team that's looking to make their World Series appearance again after winning the World Series last year against the Philadelphia Phillies, and now looking to make their seventh consecutive American League Championship Series starting tonight. Justin Verlander will be on the mound for the Houston Astros. Meanwhile, Jordan Montgomery will be on the mound for your Texas Rangers. In fact, let's hear from Jordan Montgomery here. This will be cut number 2 as far as his impact of Jonah Heim on the starting pitching. Jonah Heim, of course, is starting catcher for the American League this year in the All-Star game. Let's hear from Jordan Montgomery, cut number 2, on the impact of Jonah Heim on what he will be doing and bringing for this team tonight.
He's awesome. I mean, to have a catcher that plays every day like he does, you really grow comfortable throwing to him. He has an idea of what you want to throw, kind of how you like to work, and how fast you like to work. He's just a really talented player.
So he'll play a massive part in this series tonight, will Jonah Heim. Not only his bat in that lineup, but more importantly, steadying this pitching staff. And for Jordan Montgomery, who is making his third postseason road start for the Texas Rangers this postseason, taking on a terrific lineup. And, of course, what the Houston Astros present with the likes of Kyle Tucker, one of the best right fielders in all of baseball, Yordan Alvarez, over 30 homers on the year with an over 400 on-base percentage. Meanwhile, you've got the usual suspects in terms of Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, who's got 24 career postseason home runs. Only one other person has more postseason homers than Jose Altuve, and that, of course, is Manny Ramirez. So this is a terrific lineup that Jordan Montgomery is going to be facing tonight. And on the call tonight, alongside the Hall of Famer Eric Nadel and Jared Sandler, is a gentleman who's going to be joining me right now via the Boomer Jacks Bar and Grill Hotline. Matt Hicks joining me live from Maid Park in Houston as the Rangers get ready to take on the Houston Astros tonight. Matt, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
What's up? Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you taking a few minutes with me as you prepare for tonight's game. For the Rangers having won 90 games this year, Matt, and you detailing and watching and calling these games all season long, what's the one quality from this team that could see itself play out the most in this series against the Astros in the American League Championship Series?
The one quality of the club?
Yeah, what's the best quality of this team that you could see itself playing out against the Astros in this series?
Well, one bit of quality that could play out with the addition to the roster of both Max Scherzer and John Gray is the quality of the starting pitching. Now, that's not to say that Scherzer or Gray will necessarily get a start in this series.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that in and of itself, the fact that both have been able to work their way back from recent injuries and to be ready for this series, there's no way that the Rangers would put them on the roster if they didn't think they could contribute somehow. But, you know, John, for the bulk of the season, had a very good 2023. And, of course, after the Rangers acquired Max Scherzer, with what he did, you know, on the field and in the clubhouse, has really added to this club. So I think it's significant that the Rangers feel like these two guys are ready to go. Again, maybe not necessarily in a starting capacity. You know, both of these teams are going to be guarded as to what their future starting pitching plans are going to be. But just the fact that there's the potential of, say, a Max Scherzer or a John Gray in any one of these games being able to potentially come out of the bullpen and give you 3 or 4, solid innings. It speaks to the quality of starting pitching that this club has had this season.
Hey, Matt, let's stick with the Scherzer addition to this roster. From a psychological standpoint for this team, what do you believe that does for this Rangers team, not just rotation-wise, but as you mentioned, potentially in the bullpen as well? What does his return mean from a psychological and emotional standpoint for this ball club?
I think it's a huge boon in every regard. One thing that I didn't realize until he joined the ball club was the energy that this guy brings to the team, to the clubhouse, to everybody that's around him. It's amazing how energetic this man is at the age of 39. Not to say that 39-year-olds in general are not energetic, but when you think about his age versus, what the traditional years of high quality are for a player. And I realize that with guys taking better care of themselves these days, that number goes up. But, the prime age for a baseball player traditionally has been 27. For pitchers, maybe a year or two beyond that. But now, in this day and age, with guys like Scherzer and Verlander, that number keeps going up. But he is not just an elite pitcher, but to me, he's an elite teammate. And he gets involved with everyone. He's kind of like Nathan Eovaldi in that regard. He's not a guy that just goes about his business and only worries about himself. He's fully invested in this team. And the fact that he's ready to go, I think, is going to pump up the entire club. I had an opportunity when we were in Baltimore to catch his live BP on the workout day that we had there. And just sitting in the first row behind home plate and watching him pitch to some of our guys and get those guys out, but just the way he went about it, I mean, it's like I'm looking at him and I'm like, he looks like he's ready to go to me. I mean, I'm not a medical guy and I'm not a pitching coach, but I mean, from the first row of seats, you could hear the baseball humming. And it's one of those things that it reminds you of how elite all of these players are. And in the case of a Max Scherzer, he's elite among elite. And so I think it's really exciting to see that when that roster was released this morning, his name on it.
Matt Hicks joining us live from Maid Park as the Rangers get ready to take on the Astros in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series here on your home of the Rangers, 105 through the Fan. And as we detailed a little bit earlier, the Astros making their 7th consecutive appearance in the ALCS. Meanwhile, the Rangers back in this round for the first time since 2011. How much does the experience factor play into what we could see play out in this series between these two teams?
Well, I think it's probably when you take a look at just as you couched it in overall terms, Houston as a team being here for the 7th consecutive season, the Rangers returning for the first time since 2016. But as I'm, making my notes for this series, one of the things you realize is, hey, wait a minute, the Rangers have some guys with some playoff experience in the lineup. It's not like these guys have been together for a long time. Now you've got a core group with Houston, guys like Altuve, guys like Bregman, that have been here for the course of this run. And you can say, well, that's something that they can rely on. But when you take a look at the Rangers, you're not going to get much more playoff experience here over the last 7 years than a Corey Seager, who has 66 postseason games under his belt over 7 seasons, maybe not 7 consecutive seasons. But, he won a World Series in 2020 and was a World Series MVP and an NLCS MVP. Marcus Semien experience in the postseason over 4 seasons, total of 14 games. Mitch Garver had postseason experience prior to this year. Nathaniel Lowe had a little bit of postseason experience prior to this year. So, in other words, it's not a Rangers team that is devoid of guys having played in big games in the postseason. So I don't know how much you can say that Houston has a terrific advantage over Texas in that regard, but it is for Houston the knowledge that they've been here, they've done that. You know, for the most part, most of the guys on the team have gone through this routine before, and they know what it takes to win. You know, I didn't mention Will Smith, by the way, who's about ready to meet with the media here. And one of the reasons why he'd be meeting with the media is because he was with Houston last year when they won a World Series, even though he wasn't on the World Series roster. And he was with the Braves in 2021, you know, when they won it all. So you're talking about there are plenty of guys for Texas that know what this is all about. And so I don't think that there is a huge experience void for Texas.
As we look at this matchup, I think one of the things that Houston may be looking to do as far as their lineup is concerned is try to get to that bullpen as quickly as possible. But if you look at Jose Leclerc, Aroldis Chapman, Josh Sborz, Cody Bradford, a combined 13 2/3 innings with 1 run allowed. Is that still for you the biggest X factor of this series from a pitching standpoint for the Rangers, is how well this bullpen can continue to pitch by the way that they've done so far in this postseason?
Yeah, how long they can sustain it, for sure. You know, to see what we're getting, especially out of Leclerc, who's pitched in every game so far, and clearly, you know, having the time off from winning the series against Baltimore to today will benefit him, but as it benefits everybody else on both clubs that have had some days off here. But to see Leclerc pitching the way he's pitching, certainly maybe the biggest X factor. You know, and with Aroldis Chapman, you know, right now you still don't know what you're going to get because, you know, he's been effective and he's put up some very good numbers. But, you know, his last time out, while he came in and was he got 2 of the first 3 guys out that he faced. But then the last 2 guys he faced, he didn't throw a strike. And, you know, he had Boch had to pull him early and bring Leclerc in to get the final out of that inning with the bases being loaded. Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen. The Rangers had a 6-run lead at the time, but, you know, a guy gets a double, and another guy gets a hit. Now it's a 2-run ball game or whatever, and things are really super tight again. And things can change, obviously, quickly, you know, in a postseason game. So I think that, and it's like you said, it's not just Leclerc, it's not just Chapman. It's Josh Sborz who is going to get some very high leverage situations in this particular series. Is he going to be able to show what he showed here since coming off the injured list? You know, one of the things, if I can add to that, is watching the final game of Houston wrapping up its series over the Twins, and clearly their relievers got the job done, didn't give up anything. I think it was Neris, Abreu, and Presley who finished out that win over Minnesota on Wednesday. But as I was watching, I kept scratching my head that, yep, these guys were successful, but boy, oh boy, you know, when we do a broadcast and we talk about a pitcher, he only made 1 mistake and it got punished. Of course, if a starting pitcher goes and only makes 1 mistake, that's rare. They make more mistakes than that. And a lot of times those mistakes don't get exposed. And I think that's what happened at the end of that game with the Twins. I think that all of those pitchers, and especially Hector Neris, made some mistakes that they got away with because Twins hitters, for whatever reason, weren't able to capitalize. Maybe they weren't looking for that particular pitch at that particular count, and they ended up taking a pitch that was middle, and got further behind in the count. But I was kind of surprised at the number of mistakes that the Astros bullpen made in that game, and they all got away with it. Pardon me. The way the Rangers are going right now at the plate, we got a lot of guys right now that aren't going to miss mistakes. And so I'm just kind of keeping that in the back of my mind as we go into this series. Now, one thing the Astros are good at is evaluating themselves, and I'm sure that they probably, you know, saw that as well, and they've done whatever they need to do to tighten that up. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because a lot of times you just take a look at a box score and you go, oh, man, this is Astros bullpen. These guys were outstanding. I really think that they were very fortunate in that last game against the Twins.
Last question before I get you out of here. This rivalry will be on a national stage, really for the first time, obviously in the postseason. What do you want people to know who are going to be tuning into this series to know about what this rivalry means between the Astros and the Rangers for the right to get to the World Series this year?
Well, it's completely different, and it has been since the Astros came into the American League and were assigned to the American League West. And, of course, these two teams have not been, since Houston came into the American League, they have not been really this good at the same time. So there was a stretch there when Houston first came into the league that the Rangers were dominant. And I remember my first full season with the club. In the 19 meetings between the two, the Rangers won 17 of the 19, and that included losing to Houston on opening day. So the Rangers ended up winning 18 of the last 19. Then, as the Rangers became a below 500 club, Houston started to get better, and the Astros have dominated the series here recently, including this year. But, right now, for this first meeting ever in the postseason, you have two teams that have so much going for them. I really expect this to be a long series, a well-fought series. The two clubs really don't like one another, and I know that the fan bases can get a little snarly at one another. Hopefully that doesn't play out and people play nice in the seats, but I expect a really intense series with some really intense finishes that ought to be wildly entertaining for those people who are not Rangers and Astros fans.
Looking forward to your call alongside the Hall of Famer Eric Nadel and Jared Sandler tonight with first pitch at 7:15 at Minute Maid Park. Matt Hicks good enough to join me here on 105 through the Fan. Matt, thank you so much for the time. Looking forward to the call tonight, sir. Thank you.
All right, KG, thank you.
There he goes. Matt Hicks going to be on the call with the Hall of Famer Eric Nadel and Jared Sandler tonight. Again, the official pregame show begins at 6:30 right here on 105.3 The Fan. It's our Rangers American League Championship Series pregame super show right here on your home of the Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, Derek Holland going to be joining me to give us his thoughts on this series and how the Rangers can get it done against those Astros. We do it next on 105.3 The Fan.
Thanks to our Tolos. Those are our listeners who turn it on, leave it on. We're here for you all day on 105.3 The Fan and on our Odyssey app.
Hi there, it's Pete Thompson from the Consumer Team. This summer's record heat put a real strain on your HVAC system, which means it needs a tune-up before you turn on the heat. Call the On-Time Experts today and get their fall tune-up, normally $199, for just $59. Your system will get a thorough cleaning and maintenance, and you'll get a stay warm guarantee for this winter, too. Call now. This discount is for new customers that call today. TheOnTimeExperts.com. TheOnTimeExperts.com.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Thanksgiving.
Bar and Grill Hotline, where we welcome in Derek Holland joining me here on 105 through the Fan. Derek, what's going on?
Man, did you not see the Browns pull off the upset?
Look, man, we're not here to talk about your Cleveland Browns today. We're not going to do that today. That's something we're not going to do. Because, look, they showed more fight today than the Cowboys did all last week against the San Francisco 49ers. So shout out to Amari Cooper and the Cleveland Browns for handling business today.
That's all we need for that. We're good. I appreciate it. How hyped for the game tonight. This is what we've been waiting for. The Battle of the Silver Boot. We got Texas, Houston. Like, this is huge. This is, to me, I mean, it's not as big of a rivalry, but this is just like having a Boston-New York type of series to go to the World Series. This is what you want. This is what you waited for.
Yeah. This is one of the more intriguing aspects of this series for me, Derek, is the idea that the national, stage will be introduced, to this Texas Rangers, Houston Astros rivalry. How do you think people will receive these two teams, knowing how bitter these two teams feel about each other, but now they'll have a chance to play that out in the American League Championship Series?
Well, I think people are going to start to see how big of a rivalry this is to begin with. Obviously, before it was American League, National League battle, but now that you're getting to see the similarities of a, St. Louis and Chicago Cubs or a Boston, New York type atmosphere, you're going to see that hatred. Both teams hate each other. There's no doubt about it. Even when I played here, of course, I hated Houston. It's just, that's how it is. You just come into that battle of wanting to make a statement against these guys. Granted, they've been the team, though. This is the thing. We got to give them credit. They've been the team for the past 7 years. I know they cheated. That's fine. That's past now. This is what we have to focus on now, is what's in front of us, and that's Houston. We've got to beat the best to be the best, and it's going to come down to us winning this series, and I think we've got it in 6.
Okay, so already a prediction, got the Rangers in 6. So let's start to break it down a little bit. Obviously, for the Astros, it's a team that's been there, done that. They're the reigning World Series champions. But at the same time, for the Rangers, a team that's had its up and downs throughout the course of the season, but now have turned it on in the playoffs, 5-0 so far, heading into the ALCS. What problems do this Rangers lineup present to Justin Verlander tonight in Game 1 of the ALCS?
I mean, this is a lineup that can beat you with speed. This is a lineup that can beat you with power. I mean, 1 through 9, there really isn't a weak link. If you really look at this whole lineup, the thing that sticks out to me is the bottom of the order. That's what's going to be the big difference maker, is seeing what Tavares and Carter can do. I think those guys, I love bringing them up because they play such an important role, because they get that started back up again with the top of the lineup with Simeon, Seager, Garcia, Young, Heim. I mean, you go through that lineup, just naming those guys right there, it tells you how strong this team is. And I think all they have to do is get after Verlander right away. I mean, he's going to throw strikes. We got to just attack him right away. Be aggressive. I think that's going to be the big move. He's going to throw a lot of strikes. He's going to make mistakes too. Every pitcher does. I think we just got to capitalize on those mistakes and also be a threat on the base pass with our speed. Try to be aggressive out there. Steal some bags. Just put the pressure on those guys, because right now I guarantee you they're walking into the series thinking they've already got it won.
And meanwhile, for the Astros, a lineup that presents stars up and down that lineup between Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, the usual suspects with Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman and others. What challenges will they present to Jordan Montgomery tonight, who's making his 3rd consecutive road start in this postseason?
Well, with Montgomery, just continue to keep doing what you've done. Keep being aggressive in the zone, also expanding the zone once you get ahead, but also know that this team that you're going up against does have a lot of experience. We have to give them the credit that they have. I mean, they've obviously gone to the World Series several times. They've won the division for the past 7 years. They've been the team, and they've got most of those guys. They continue to have the veteran leadership carry them through. It's now time for us just to go on the attack and do our job. And if we keep pitching the way that we are, even with our bullpen as well, I'm telling you, this is going to be an unbelievable series. And I don't think Houston understands how good this team is. And if they take us too light, man, they're going to look like the San Francisco 49ers today and get beat.
Derek Holland joining me here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show on your home of the Rangers, 105 through the Fan, ahead of Game 1 tonight between the Rangers and the Astros. Derek, take us inside the mind of a player preparing for a series like this from a pitcher standpoint, and what goes into that kind of preparation to get you in the right mind frame to be able to deal, especially with a lineup like this that Houston presents.
Well, you as a player, we've looked at what we've done in the past. We saw, the last time we had played them, they did put the beat down on the Rangers. And as a pitching staff, maybe we were trying to do too much. Maybe we were trying to get ahead, not get ahead, but just trying to do more than we needed to, rather than just trusting the stuff that we have. Going forward with it, though, we got to stay within ourselves, stay within this moment. No moment is too big, and I think with what these guys got with our rotation, we have such good veteran leaders out there at the rotation that they can get the job done. You've seen it from Nasty Nate. You're seeing it from Montgomery. We got John Gray coming back to help out. I don't know if he's going to be starting. You got Dane Dunning, who's been one of the most consistent guys on this staff that's been here since day one. And then you also got Scherzer coming into the rotation. That's why I feel like going into this series, our pitching matches up picture perfect with theirs. That's my opinion of that. I think our bullpen's going to do their job as well. They have been. They've showcased. I told everybody from the very beginning, it doesn't matter what you've done during the season. It matters what you do in the postseason. And what they're doing right now changes everything. People looked at them as something that they weren't very good. They couldn't handle the leads. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. They're doing it. They are out there. They've been continuing to make a statement. They swept two teams that were unbelievable to begin with. Tampa is a very good team that had the wild card lead. They had home field. We took care of business with all 16,000 that showed up at that place. Then we go to Baltimore. We take care of business, which is another team that was the winner of the division. We got to go and continue to keep that same mentality that we've had, because now this is another team that's in our way of where we're trying to go, and that's to get to the World Series so we can bring that trophy back to Texas where it belongs, because this is the team that I feel that's going to get this thing done.
Oh, you feeling like the Rangers are a team of destiny at this point, Derek?
I do. We've seen the storybook from Baltimore. That story's over. The new story is right here with the Texas Rangers.
So let's stick with that pitching, because you started to detail it a little bit with Max Scherzer being added to the ALCS roster. What does his return do psychologically and emotionally for this team, knowing the kind of postseason experience that he's had throughout his career?
Well, let me just ask you this. What does this do for you as a fan of this Texas Rangers team? When you hear that Max Scherzer is coming back to join this rotation, you can't tell me that doesn't fire you up.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what's going on in that clubhouse. They see that they got another weapon showing up to the team, or showing up to the field with these guys, ready to go to war. You better believe these guys are going to have some fire behind them.
So let's start to look at it tonight then. For this game specifically, it's going to be loud inside Maid Park. There's going to be a raucous atmosphere. The roof is going to be closed. What are you looking from the Rangers in terms of a start, especially for a guy in Marcus Semien who has struggled so far in this postseason, only hitting 174 to try to set the table against Justin Verlander tonight?
I want to throw this out right now. First pitch, home run.
Hey, Derek's coming with the fire predictions tonight. He's got the Rangers in 6. He's saying Marcus Semien going to get a home run off the first pitch tonight off of Justin Verlander. What else you got for me, man?
Well, I'm feeling very confident. I think that the Rangers are also they're going to put a little beating into the Astros. I think they're going to get the rude awakening of, wow, man, we did not see this coming. I'm telling you, I really feel like Houston has put the Rangers on sleep mode. They feel like they're too confident going into this series. The only thing that really worries me the most is obviously this time off in between. But I think Bochy does such a great job of keeping these guys prepared and ready to go. Same thing with Maddox, getting those pitchers where they need to be. But tonight, I think it's going to be a solid game from these guys. I'm trying to think. Montgomery's pitching tonight first, or was it Nasty Nate?
Jordan Montgomery gets to start tonight.
Yeah, that's okay. So I feel very confident with him going out there. Sorry, I was in Cleveland Browns mode there for a second. But I feel very confident. Montgomery's going to set the tone, too. He's continued to do such a great job in this postseason of establishing his zone and adjusting the right ways and keeping the hitters off balance. I think you're going to see a lot from this pitching staff.
One thing I want to touch on with you when it comes to just the overall postseason, there's been a lot of conversation and discussion about the long layoffs and what it did for teams like Baltimore and for Tampa and other teams that had the long layoff and them getting eliminated earlier on this postseason. What are your thoughts on what those long layoffs meant, and maybe if Major League Baseball needs to do something about that?
Man, the thing is, what can you do? You earned that bye or that delay, I guess you could say, because you won your division or whatnot. So it's one of those things. Do you want to do that, or do you want to take the wild card route? Those are risky things that you're messing with. And you also look back. I hate bringing up the bad memories, but the two teams that beat us in the World Series, both were wild card teams, and they were red hot heading into October. And that's what I feel like the Rangers are. They are red hot. I'm just curious to see with these couple days off if it did affect them, but I don't feel like it did just because of the coaching staff that we have that has the experience, and that will get these guys to where they need to be. And you got such a strong veteran core that I think they're going to do such a good job of leading these younger guys in how to carry themselves and prepare for these games.
Last one before I get you out of here. You gave me your prediction on how you feel about the series, specifically tonight, with Marcus Semien. What's your number one X factor of this series that can determine who goes on to the World Series between these two teams?
To be honest, it's between both teams' bullpen. That's where it's really going to come down to. We know that both teams have great offenses. We know both teams have great starting rotation. We both feel very confident in these bullpens too. And it's not a shot against either one. It's just a matter of making sure we get the job done. So it's going to be a battle of the bullpens, in my opinion.
Derek, I appreciate the time as always, my man. I know you're fired up for tonight's game between the Rangers and the Astros. I know you've already had a good day already with your Cleveland Browns handling business over San Francisco, so I can't wait to see your reaction to what will be, I'm sure, a fantastic baseball game between the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. Derek, I appreciate the time, my man. Thank you.
And as always, and let's go Rangers, baby. 6, let's get it.
There he goes. Derek Holland, good enough to join me here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Really appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app, the truckwreck.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. Coming up next, a little Rangers only here. Let's hear from some of the Rangers most important in this series on their thoughts on what's going to happen between themselves and the Astros. And this piece of audio from Ken Rosenthal about how the Rangers went all in this year. We do it next on 105.3 The Fan.
2 North Texas institutions are joining forces. Whataburger is proud to partner with 105.3 The Fan and G-Bag Nation for Flagtober 2023. Bigger and better than ever. Be on the lookout for locations to pick up your one-of-a-kind G-Bag flag throughout October. Flagtober and Whataburger, just like you like it.
At Sherwin-Williams, we deliver personalized service, business building tools, and cutting-edge solutions to help you manage and grow your business more easily. From product recommendations to project guidance, we ensure you have everything you need to get the job done. Plus, our exclusive Pro Plus pricing helps you stay on budget. Visit your local Sherwin-Williams store to get the products you love from the paint experts you trust. We save you time, plus we save you money.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
Let's go, Dallas! Let's go!
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If anyone knows that, Ciroc does. From the tailgate to the touchdown, Ciroc Ultra Premium Vodka makes game day a smooth one. And with flavors that never fumble, man, game day is an instant win. This is Ciroc, made from fine French grapes, made for football. Get Ciroc and Ciroc Vodka Spritz during the next Cowboys game. Please drink responsibly. Ciroc Vodka, 40% alcohol by volume. Imported from France by Diageo, New York, New York.
I'm a big believer in investing into what the wealthiest people in the world invest into. But it's not easy to know exactly what that is, and it hasn't always been possible for regular folks like you and I. But that's changing. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and if you've done a good job acquiring some assets, now is the time to consider private equity. Private equity is ownership of private companies that aren't traded on the stock market and in most cases are very exclusive. Examples could include ownership of apartments or nursing homes, dental practices, solar farms, you name it. Why do so many billionaires invest into private equity? Because of historically low correlation to the stock market and historically higher returns. If you have a goal with your portfolio but aren't there yet, call Trajan Wealth today. Call 469-579-3500. 469-579-3500.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. May require accreditation.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes, the IRS has greenlighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship and is now accessible through Tax Help USA. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. For this free information, call 800-251-1413. 800-251-1413. That's 800-251-1413.
O'Reilly. Get ultimate durability and extreme weather performance with Rain-X Advantage wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Purchase a pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thing.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water, pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Jerry is a Tolo.
Let me say this to the turn it on, leave it go. And let me say this to the one that just turn it on when old Jerry's up.
Turn it on, leave it on, leave it on. Your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
This segment on 105.3 The Fan is sponsored by Classic Chevrolet. Texas, it's Classic Truck Month at Classic Chevrolet. Like you, grit runs deep. They're determined to get you the toughest trucks with the biggest savings. Over 300 new Silverados on the ground. Unprecedented one-time offers. Claim yours before it's gone. This is Texas. This is Classic Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Back here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show on your home of the Texas Rangers 105.3 The Fan. Little Rangers only here as we get you ready for game 1 of the ALCS. Kevin Gray live in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Joining us live in Houston, Jared Sandler, my guy, your guy, our favorite guy, as he's handling business ahead of game number 1 between the Rangers and the Astros. We're live on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam and on YouTube as well. Search 105 The Fan on YouTube and hit the subscribe button while you are there. Jared, what is the atmosphere starting to feel like as we are just under 2 hours before game time?
Yeah, it's starting to pick up. The fans are starting to come in. Batting practice is taking place right now. The Astros are currently hitting. The Rangers batting practice will start in about 30 minutes. And
I'm sorry, I should say a little over 2 hours before game time.
7:15 first pitch. But, this I got my thoughts on this city and this team, obviously. But this is this place gets really, really loud. And with the roof closed, that's only going to exacerbate the volume here inside the building. But, the reality is the Astros have been really good for a really long time. And when that's the case, your fan base grows. The bandwagon gets bigger and bigger. And I don't mean that as a shot. Every team has bandwagon fans. That's not a shot against the Astros. That's just the reality when you've won as much as they've won. And so they've got a really dedicated, supportive fan base here. And, it's odd because they have not had success at home. They've been a really poor team here at Maid Park, but it certainly isn't because of the crowd. They fill this place up, and it gets really loud.
Let's start here before we hear from some of the Rangers specifically going into this matchup, because I thought this particular thought from Ken Rosenthal from the MLB on Fox, detailing how the Rangers have gone in all season long for this team to get them to this point was fascinating. Take a listen to Ken Rosenthal, who was on the KNC Masterpiece, detailing how he feels about what the Rangers were able to do to go all in this season.
What is kind of the thought of Chris Young as a general manager around Major League Baseball now?
Well, I would say that he is perceived to be an aggressive general manager, as he proved at the deadline and even last offseason, and someone who has done a lot of things in the quest to win. And they made one trade that ultimately is probably going to look bad for them, the Chapman trade, with Reagan's going to Kansas City. Reagan looked like one of the best pitchers in baseball the second half. But what they're trying to do is win now. And that was the focus of their deadline. It was the focus of really their last two off seasons. And as Cody Stavenhagen wrote in The Athletic, he wrote about the Rangers and Seager coming out of the series after the sweep was complete. He made the point that the Rangers are the one team kind of exploiting a market inefficiency, which is, we all want to be sustainable winners. No, the Rangers are saying, no, we want to win now and sustain success. But too many teams kind of hedge their bets, for lack of a better term. And they say, okay, well, we might win this year, but if we don't, that's okay because we'll be good next year. That's not the approach the Rangers took, and it goes against the current grain in Major League Baseball.
Jared, is Chris Young singularly responsible for that change in mindset in your mind?
No, I don't think so. I think he deserves a lot of credit, and there's no doubt that he's really aggressive, and that's kind of been his messaging from the start. But, I think that he'd be the first one to give credit to Dayton Moore, who's been alongside him. I think Bruce Bochy, even though he's not necessarily in the trenches from a baseball ops standpoint, he's a part of that. And I think the guys on the field are a part of that, because you're not going to be aggressive if the guys on the field are not playing in a way that justifies it. So I think there's a lot that goes into it. Let's not forget that there was a regime before this one, and they built a lot of the guys on this roster. They brought them together. But, Chris Young has provided, I think a very valuable change in voice in that position, and there's no doubt that the aggression, the determination to win, the willingness to make decisions in that direction have contributed. And Chris Young has done an outstanding job this year, and I think a lot of people are excited to see what this offseason brings and what the next several years bring, because he's talked a lot about how it's not just about winning this year, it's about building a culture of winning, building a tradition of winning. And, I don't know that he specifically said like the Astros, but I think for any organization, the cheating scandal aside, if you just look at the results, any organization would love to do what this Astros team has done over the last several years. And I think that's very much what, he's not putting the cart before the horse or anything. I think that's very much what his intention is. It's not just about winning now. It's about winning now. It's about winning next year and the year after that. And, having an organization that has a rather large window.
Speaking of this offseason, a gentleman who appears has been making himself a bunch of money during the second half of the year and into the postseason is Mitch Garver. This is going to be cut number 10. Mitch Garver speaking on how good he is feeling right now at this point in his career.
I want to say this is the best I've felt. I've had some good years in the past, 19 obviously being the highlighted one, but if you were to go strictly off batted ball profile and the way I performed, 21 has been still my best year. But this year compares pretty closely. Driving the ball pretty well, working counts. Probably my highest walk percentage year, lowest strikeout percentage year. But I think it's just kind of the more you play in your career, the more you become in tune with the hitter that you are, and you're able to come into your own and feel a little bit more comfortable with the day-to-day process of it.
a man who seems very in tune, Jared, with what his numbers have been through the course of his career. But him saying the best that he is feeling right now at this point obviously bodes well for this lineup for the Rangers here.
Yeah, and, we talked about it. He's going to have to be big. I posted a video on Twitter, my 3 keys to this series, and Mitch Garver just by himself is the 3rd key because he's hitting behind Simeon and Seager and also, the guys who are getting on base at the bottom of the order. And there's just a different dynamic when the number 3 hitter for this roster, for this lineup, is producing. And he did a good job of that in games 2 and 3 against Baltimore. And it's going to be really interesting just to kind of weave in the conversation we had a second ago about the future. It's going to be really interesting what the Rangers do with Mitch Garver. He is a free agent. I don't anticipate that they're going to sign him to any sort of a multi-year deal, but they can give him the qualifying offer, which would be a 1-year deal for $20.5 million. And if he accepts it, then the Rangers would be paying him just north of $20 million next year. If not, then the Rangers can get compensation if he leaves. And it might make a lot of sense for the Rangers. I don't know if it would make sense for Mitch Garver. This might be his best chance at his age, 33, to get a multi-year deal. It's a very weak market for catchers, so maybe he benefits from that. But, I think as far as sustainability and offensive success, being a primary DH and a part-time catcher is probably what would be best for Mitch just from a physical standpoint. But if there's a team that has a need at the catching spot because of the weak class and they say, hey, we'll give you 4 years and we'll give you, 17 a year or so, maybe that makes more sense. But it will be interesting to see. I'd imagine the Rangers would extend the qualifying offer to Mitch. Not sure whether he would accept it or not.
Well, if nothing else, Garver during the second half of the year has put himself in position where he will have some suitors looking for that bat the way that he has performed so far. Especially in this postseason as well. One of the favorite moments of this postseason for me so far, the grand slam that he had in Baltimore, and just you could see the emotion coming from him and his team and how big he has been so far in this postseason for the Rangers. A team that has been up and down at times this season with long win streaks, long losing streaks, but more importantly are in this position now. Jordan Montgomery, what's one word that you would describe this Rangers ball club?
Compete. I think we've got a ton of competitors on this team that are 1 through 9. Every pitcher we have just ready to take the ball or get that big AB. And if the guy in front of them doesn't get it done, then the next guy is going to do his best to get it done.
Would you agree with that sentiment from Jordan Montgomery with the word that he chose?
Yeah, I would. And I think it's funny. You sometimes project yourself on a larger group. I'm sure there's some sort of communication science or behavioral science or psychology thing that someone could share with me. But, that's Jordan Montgomery, too. And it's almost like he's projecting himself on the group. That's what he wants to see in this group. That's a big part of who he is. But I think he's right. I think this is a really competitive group. And I think you look at their at-bats and, from this lineup, that's how you define their lineup. This is just an incredibly competitive lineup. They make life miserable on opposing pitchers. And, this is a bullpen that's had to grind things out, and now they're in a decent spot, and this is a rotation more of the same. They've really had to compete their way to having the level of success that they've had.
Jordan Montgomery taking the mound tonight for the Texas Rangers. He'll be opposed by Justin Verlander. As we start getting closer to thinking about what this matchup, not just specifically for the entirety of this series, but for tonight, what is something that you're looking for in terms of a start, whether it be for the Rangers lineup themselves or from Montgomery, that gives you indication that they'll be able to settle in fairly quickly into a game that's going to be, I'm sure, with a live atmosphere in Houston tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I always think about that first inning and to begin a series, especially when you've had some time off, and see if the Rangers can win the first inning. And neither team, might win the first inning. It might be scoreless or whatever the case might be, but I think setting the tone early on that they're not going to give in to Justin Verlander, getting an idea of how he's going to attack them. Not that it couldn't change, of course, throughout the course of the game. But then for Jordan Montgomery, I mean, this is a top-heavy Astros lineup. It's not that they don't have, depth at all. They're not only 1 through 3, but this is a 1 through 6 lineup. And you're going to have Altuve right off the bat, and we know what he's done against the Rangers, but Altuve, Bregman, and Alvarez, can you get through those 3, settle in? I think that would be big for Jordan Montgomery. This is an Astros team that hits lefties really well. Their OPS, I think, second best in the majors against lefties during the regular season, behind only the Braves. So getting off to a good start and getting off to maybe something of an efficient start might help the Rangers, because obviously the more you can get out of Jordan Montgomery, the less you need from this bullpen, and that's not a bad thing at all.
We talk about teams that win the wild card and start to make postseason runs, and maybe sometimes those teams maybe not having as much pressure on them because maybe they're quote-unquote not supposed to be there in that particular moment. While the Astros, when we've detailed the experience of some of their core guys being in this spot, do you feel like this Rangers team is playing with quote-unquote house money, if you will, and can play as loose as they can, knowing that the pressure is probably more with the Astros with the kind of success that they've had over the last several years?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. On one hand, KG, I think this year, no matter what happens the rest of the way, this has been a successful year. I think we would perceive things a little differently, say, if the Rangers were playing the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
If the Rangers were playing the Twins right now and they lost, we'd all be bummed because, so close to getting back to the World Series. But I think, in time, a week, 2 weeks, however long, we'd look and say, gosh, what a great year for this Rangers team. And, hey, they advanced deeper into the playoffs than the Astros did. But if the Rangers don't win the series, it doesn't change the fact that getting to the ALCS is always an outstanding accomplishment, especially from where this team was. But losing to the Astros again, gosh, that would stink. That would be tough. Are they playing with house money? I don't know if they look at it that way, because remember, not all these guys are in it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, it's their time now. But I do think this is generally a pretty loose group. If anything, if this team can stay loose and keep their heads above water when they were in that stretch, August into September, where it didn't seem like they could win a game at all, then I think that this is fun. I mean, I think they can stay loose for this. I think sometimes you got to worry more about the people around the players staying loose, right? I think these guys would tell you, gosh, we're good. Hey, you guys just chill out. I think that is maybe more of a narrative that you would hear from them, as opposed to them admitting, yeah, no, we got to loosen up. We're a tight group. I don't think that's an issue for them.
It's funny, as you were detailing that made me think of one specific player, and Marcus Semien, who was like, look, man, I'm just thinking about trying to get into his mindset. Look, I just had my fourth child. Like, this baseball thing, yeah, it's important, but my family just grew not too long ago, so I'm sure his family and around him are trying to keep him as loose and as focused as possible, given the fact that, hey, man, his family just grew a little bit more here recently. So,
yeah, no, and congrats to Marcus and Tara, adding baby number 4, Amelie, who is back in DFW, surrounded by her 3 older brothers. Let me tell you something. Between Marcus Semien and Amelie's 3 older brothers, that pretty girl is going to be very protected as she grows up. I would think twice. You better have the best intentions if you're going to take that girl to homecoming. Let me tell you, because Josh, Eli, Isaiah, and Marcus, especially as those kids get older, they're not going to mess around if they're anything like Papa Bear.
It's the Rangers ALCS pregame super show here on your home of the Rangers, 105 through the Fan. Kevin Gray in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Meanwhile, Jared Sandin live in Houston at Maid Park ahead of Game 1 of the ALCS. Coming up next, we dive more into the specifics of this matchup tonight. Jordan Montgomery versus Justin Verlander. These two terrific lineups and what they will present tonight. We dive into our official preview of the game next on 105 through the Fan.
Through your phone, smart speaker, or more, name your device. The Odyssey app is there for you, thanks to our friends at Comerica.
If you turn it on and leave it on the Fan, you know we're DFW sports leader on insight and original content all day long. No need to go back and search for it. We send it to you. Yeah. Sign up for our Fan.
and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate your card today to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate your card today to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate your card today to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate your card today to Junk for Joy.
Donate your card today at junkforjoy.org. Your card can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate to Junk for Joy. Donate your card today to Junk for Joy. Donate your card today to Junk for Joy.
Donate today at junkforjoy.org and your car can be picked up by tomorrow.
This is the exclusive home of Dallas Cowboys football. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
From our fan studio, secured by DFWsecurity.com, thanks for turning it on and leaving it on. 105.3 The Fan.
Let's get you ready for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between your Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. It's our Rangers ALCS pregame super show on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray live in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Jared Sandler in Houston at Maid Park as your Texas Rangers take on the Houston Astros with our official pregame show beginning at 6:30 p.m. First pitch tonight on Fox and on the Louisiana Hot Sauce Rangers Radio Network at 7:15. We are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dallas Fan Cam and on YouTube as well. Search 105 The Fan on YouTube and hit the subscribe button while you are there. We're with you until 6:30 tonight. Coming up in 18 minutes, Mike Basset of the KNC Masterpiece going to be joining us here to give us his thoughts going into tonight's Game 1 between the Rangers and the Astros. The Astros in the ALCS for the 7th consecutive year looking to defend their World Series championship. Meanwhile, the Texas Rangers back in the ALCS for the first time since 2011. Jordan Montgomery on the mound for the good guys. Justin Verlander on the mound for the Astros tonight. The roof will be closed inside Minute Maid Park as they get ready for Game 1 tonight. Jared, just your overall thoughts before we get to the overall preview of tonight's game as you are preparing yourself for this hopefully 7-game classic between the Rangers and the Astros in this series.
Well, I hope not 7 games, KG. That's not going to be good for my blood pressure. I'd like to wrap this thing up in 4 or 5 if that's okay with you, at least as long as it has the Rangers advancing. But, we talked about this earlier. This head-to-head matchup hasn't necessarily been even in terms of, the win-loss record between these two teams this year. But overall, these two teams are very evenly matched. They aren't necessarily apples to apples in how they, go about having success. But, it's not like you can look at this on paper and say that, well, this team is just so much better than the other team on either side. And, when you're in the middle of this thing, maybe Rangers fans aren't feeling as good because of the fact that the Astros have had their number, and maybe Astros fans feel really good because of it. But if you were to ask someone who's not a part of the Storm, someone from outside of these two fan bases or groups covering this team, I think you'd find that it's pretty even. And that's at least the language I got talking to people from around the league. And I just think it's going to be a really fun game. Hopefully we get some great atmospheres here in Houston and DFW, and some competitive games, and I fully expect that that's what's going to happen between these two.
You brought up an interesting point there. What has been some of the more national conversation based on what you have been able to glean about how people are feeling about this series between these two teams?
Yeah, so I asked a bunch of people when the Rangers got up 2-0 against the Orioles, hey, who do you think the better matchup is, Twins or Astros? And a lot of people, more people said the Astros actually were the more favorable matchup for the Rangers than the Twins because of the Twins' ability to really match up within a game. The Astros are more righty-heavy. They don't have a single lefty in their bullpen. And I think a lot of people, while the Rangers most recently just got absolutely railroaded by the Astros in Arlington, again, when you're not in the fight and you can take a step back, I think a lot of people look and see some of the flaws that this Astros team has. I mean, it's a Justin Verlander who's not in the the front nine or even right at the turn of his career, and he is not missing as many bats. And Framber Valdez has been inconsistent, if not below average here recently, and isn't necessarily a great matchup. It's not a great matchup for him against the Rangers because of their patience. And I just think there are a ton of things that you can point to and say, yeah, this actually favors the Rangers. Now, you can do the same for the Astros. It's not, I don't want to make this out to be, one-sided in that regard. And then as far as what I've noticed, and I don't know about you, KG, just, national folks, whatever, people making picks for this series, it's a lot more split than I thought. And I think I saw something from The Athletic maybe, or maybe it was MLB, I don't remember, where more people actually picked the Rangers than the Astros. And I'll say this. This is meant with no disrespect to anyone making any prognostication. None of these folks have any idea. None of us have any idea, right? I remember when I was growing up, if more people picked my team as opposed to the other team, I felt great. And knowing what I know now, I mean, half these people couldn't name half the the bullpen for these two teams, and they're making a pick because their editor says, we need you to make a pick.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, a part of why it is so tough, and I've seen some people making the pick, making it based on this, and I think there is some validity to this. One of the reasons why it is so tough to repeat is because you play more games than anyone else other than the team that you beat in that final series that previous year, and it can wear on you. And with this Astros team, it's not just that they've repeated, and it's not just that there was also a World Baseball Classic prior to this year. It's that they have been here now every year since 2017 to this stage, and that is a lot. And it is very tough to continually do this. It is an incredible accomplishment, but to get back to the World Series is not going to be easy for this team because they do have a lot more mileage, and this is relatively speaking, a fresher Rangers team.
And it's funny you started to detail the ideas of how split people may be about who is winning this series. And as someone who has obviously covered the game, historian of the game, you think about the 0-2 Angels, you think about the 0-4 Red Sox, you think about some of these wild card teams that have made deep postseason runs and gone on to win World Series. It's about getting hot at the right time, and it just feels like that this Rangers team, the Jekyll and Hyde nature in which they have performed at times this year, they found the right time to hit the right switch to perform and play their best baseball. And if they could continue that in this series against a team that, yes, quote-unquote, has been there, I don't see any reason why someone wouldn't pick the Rangers based off of how well this bullpen has been playing so far, or how well this lineup with Josh Young and Evan Carter, how well they've been performing. I could see how there could be a lot of individuals say, well, that's the hot team right now that still looks like has a lot of momentum and building towards something that could be extremely special given what we've seen in the nature of baseball in these playoffs at times.
Yeah, and someone, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but someone said to me, yeah, you never know. The Rangers could do something crazy and pull this out. And I just don't think that that's what this series is. Like that gives off the idea that the Rangers are massive underdogs, and maybe it could. I don't think it's that. I think this is really kind of a toss-up series. I think you go to Vegas, they're leaning a little bit towards the Astros. I think there's probably some some gaming to that as far as the line play and odds makers and whatnot. But I think this is a pretty straight up series. Let's just say the Rangers and the Astros had 90 wins apiece, and the Astros won 7 of 13 as opposed to 9 of 13. I think people would view this a lot differently. So should 2 games or 3 games really make a difference with how we view this? The Rangers are the healthiest they have been in playing the Astros. Remember when the Rangers took 2 of 3, they didn't have Corey Seager earlier in the year. They've been without Corey Seager in this series. They've been without Jonah Heim. They've been without Josh Young. And same for the Astros. This is probably the healthiest the Astros have been. So, in that respect, it's the first time we're getting this, with these two teams with the level of health that they both have coming into the series.
Bruce Bochy talking about the Rangers team effort beyond just Corey Seager. and Marcus Semien and his thoughts going into this matchup.
If you look at our club, it's really, I'll say, I'll cliche this, with the team effort thing, but that's really what it's been. When you look at our lineup, we're getting production from everybody, and the guys under the radar you don't hear much about. A kid like Carter coming up, it's been different, I think, on a daily basis on what part of the order has done a lot to produce runs for us, and so those guys are a key for us. Sure, you're going to hear about the Seegers, and Marcus and those guys, but really it's been everybody, and that's what's made it work for us.
As we start to look to some of those other guys that Bruce Bochy is describing beyond Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, which one of those others could play a huge role tonight going up against Justin Verlander?
Well, I'll go to Mitch Garver first. If you want someone in the bottom of the order, and Mitch again, because he's hitting behind those guys, and Corey especially has been getting on base, and they're likely going to pitch around Corey until they have reason not to. If you want to go to someone in the bottom of the order, I'll go to someone that we talked about earlier. Let's go with Nathaniel Lowe. He is a lefty. He is not going to face a lefty tonight. Justin Verlander is a righty, and the Astros don't have a lefty in their bullpen. So, from that standpoint, could have some favorable matchups, and it would be great if this guy got going. Because, remember, this guy won the Silver Slugger last year for first baseman in the American League. He's got the ability to really make a big difference. He is due for that sort of a turn with the way things ended in the regular season. So I'll go with Nathaniel Lowe as a guy in the bottom of the order who can and has the ability to step up in a big way.
Conversely, on the other side, when you start looking at Jordan Montgomery attacking this Houston Astros lineup, we detailed a little bit earlier with Yordan Alvarez and how dangerous he is. Who's the one guy beyond Alvarez that you say, look, you've got to be able to contain him starting tonight if you want to have a chance in this series to be able to do some different things against this Astros lineup?
Well, you can look at it two ways. And the answer, obviously, it's more than one guy. But you can say Alex Bregman because, he's the guy who'd be getting on in front of Alvarez and Abreu and Tucker. Or you can say, hey, you know what? This Astros lineup, they're really good 1 through 6. And that's just how it is. And we're going to have to navigate through 1 through 6. We can't let someone 7 through 9 get going. And to me, that guy, I guess, let's say Jeremy Pena, because he's done it in the postseason. He's a guy, you got to get your outs in the bottom of the order against this Astros lineup. That's one thing about this Rangers lineup that makes them so good. You can't look and say, yeah, there are a lot of outs to be had in the bottom of their order. They don't have maybe as good of a 1 through 5 as the Astros do. I don't think they're far behind, but they definitely have a better 6 through 9. So, and then, Rangers fans are going to look at Chas McCormick and, bring him up because he's been such a thorn in the Rangers side. But, Bregman getting on in front of Alvarez takes away your ability to maybe creatively pitch around Yordan if needed. Because I think Jose Abreu, I don't know. He has been hitting well of late. To me, he's not as scary as his recent success would suggest, and maybe I'm going to look like a fool. So you get Bregman out, you can be a little more creative with Alvarez, and I don't think you want guys getting on at the bottom of the Astros order in front of Altuve, Bregman, and Alvarez when they turn things over.
Two numbers that stand out when it comes to this Rangers pitching staff this postseason. Their starters have a 2.22 ERA in the bullpen, a 2.16 ERA so far in these playoffs. Have you been surprised at how much better this bullpen has gotten as the postseason has gone on, even with the up and down nature of Aroldis Chapman at times and what this bullpen's been able to put together so far?
So I think to best answer that, let's go individually with the guys who have pitched out of this bullpen. I'm not surprised by Jose Leclerc, and I'm frankly not surprised by Josh Sborz. Aroldis Chapman, I think he's kind of been what you'd maybe expect. He's gotten the job done for the most part. It's, hasn't been smooth sailing. You got to buckle your seatbelt. And they really haven't had to get a lot of anyone else. Cody Bradford did a great job. I guess maybe I'm not surprised in that he's another one of these guys. It doesn't seem like the moment's too big for him. Did I think he was going to be able to do what he did against Baltimore? Maybe not to that degree. I don't really count Dane Dunning as a reliever because that was kind of in a piggyback combo platter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a part of the reason this bullpen's had success is they've been like the 2019 Nationals. They've been able to shrink the need for the relievers, and that's allowed Bruce Bochy, much like Davey Martinez was able to do in 2019, shrink the depth to which he needed to utilize his bullpen, right? It's not like we've had to talk about 6 or 7 different relievers playing a big role. I think that's a reason why the bullpen has had the success that they've had.
We'll see if that bullpen can continue that success against a dangerous Astros lineup. Again, Game 1 tonight of the American League Championship Series. The official pregame show begins at 6:30. First pitch at 7:15 on the Louisiana Hot Sauce Rangers Radio Network and on Fox as well. Coming up next, though, here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show, Mike Basset of the Kansas City Masterpiece joins me to give us his thoughts on this matchup between the Astros and your Texas Rangers. We do it next on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan.
The Fan continues to grow because of you, our listener teammates. Thank you for turning it on and leaving it on. 105.3 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant cash offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Woo-hoo! Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is Sean Trave here with Jeff Jr., owner of Trajan Wealth, talking about 401ks. I've always heard that 401ks were great, but you're telling me something different?
Well, 401ks are great when you're employed there. However, if you're no longer employed, you probably don't want to keep that 401k with your old employer, and you probably don't want to roll that old 401k into your new employer's plan.
Really? Why is that?
Well, most 401ks have limited investment options and can cost you thousands of dollars more in fees. And that's true even if you roll it over into your new employer's 401k. You also lose a lot of control by leaving your 401k with your old employer. If the company sells or merges, they often freeze it.
Now that is great insight. If you have a 401k with an old employer, stop what you're doing and call Trajan Wealth. 469-579-3500. That's 469-579-3500. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor, paid advertisement.
You're getting 2/3 of Susie Bloom, about half of Nick DeGangi, and maybe 40% of Sarah Plummer on a good day. Your people probably won't bring their whole selves to work if you don't give them the support they deserve. Cigna Healthcare helps your employees feel empowered with personalized care that meets their actual health needs. Go to Cigna.yournewgrowthplan.com to learn how offering your people personalized care is not only good for them, it's also good for business.
If you turn it on and leave it on The Fan, you know we're DFW's sports leader on insight and original content all day long. No need to go back and search for it. We send it to you.
Yeah.
Sign up for our fan newsletter today at 1053thefan.com. Proudly presented by Bosch Power Tools.
Hey, Scott. What brings you in at the pharmacy?
I'm thinking about getting one of the updated COVID-19 vaccines.
Great. Do you know which type of vaccine you'd like?
There's more than one?
Yep, there are different types of vaccines available. You can learn more about them at WeDoVaccines.com. If you have questions or want to make an appointment, give me a call.
What was that website again?
WeDoVaccines.com.
Thanks. I'll check it out.
This message was brought to you by Novavax.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things, for our planet. After Halloween this year, don't throw out your jack-o'-lantern. Use it to start composting instead. Pumpkins and other gourds are perfect additions to any compost pile. You can also add soil and roots from dead potted plants. And if you have a garden, be sure to add garden waste from cleaning and pruning. like stems, roots, and leaves. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
At Sherwin-Williams, we deliver personalized service, business-building tools, and cutting-edge solutions to help you manage and grow your business more easily. From product recommendations to project guidance, we ensure you have everything you need to get the job done. Plus, our exclusive Pro Plus pricing helps you stay on budget. Visit your local Sherwin-Williams store to get the products you love from the paint experts you trust. We save you time, plus we save you money.
We're the Hellsberg Wedding Band, and this is for the lovers out there. We're gonna propose riding on a horse, wearing a tuxedo, shirtless of course. That Hellsberg diamond will dazzle her eye, and she'll say yes, and then she'll cry. Now put your shirt back on, guy. For over 100 years, Hellsberg has been customizing engagement rings of the highest quality. Plus, with Hellsberg's transparent pricing, you know you're getting the best price. Find her ring at a Hellsberg store near you or at Hellsberg.com.
This segment on 105.3 The Fan is sponsored by Frankel & Frankel. Life is unpredictable. Accidents happen. Frankel & Frankel are the go-to attorneys for car and truck wrecks in DFW. If you or a loved one has been in an accident, contact Frankel & Frankel for a free consultation at truckwreck.com or call 214 or 817-333-3333.
Back on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray live in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Really appreciate you joining me on Odyssey and the Odyssey app, the truckwreck.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. If you want to get in on the conversation with you until 6:30 p.m. as we lead you into the official Rangers pregame show with my guy, your guy, our favorite guy, Texas Rangers insider, Jared Sandler. But joining me right now, though, on the Boomer Jacks Bar and Grill Hotline, you can catch him every single day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., part of the KNC Masterpiece. Mike Basset, good enough to join me here on 105.3 The Fan. Mike, what's going on?
Oh, man, just excited and still, like, I can't believe this team. I'm excited to watch it. I know they're in it, but it's just exciting to know and almost impossible to know that the Rangers are back in the American League Championship Series tonight. Holy cow.
Watching this team all season as you have, watching and covering and being at the games and being able to experience this team, what's the one word that comes to your mind when you think about what this ball club has accomplished so far this year?
Oh, man, I think that's a tough one. I would say resiliency, because how many times have we been following this team, watching this team? And let's just take the last time they played the Houston Astros. I'll be honest, after that 3-game series, I was like, I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that this just looks like maybe too much to overcome, too much injuries. That's when Max Scherzer was feeling discomfort and you know, couldn't throw the ball that well. And you just thought, gosh, this was such a great 5 months, but it looks like it's all coming to an end. And they were able to be resilient, and they were able to have a September where they did enough to make the playoffs. And then right when you think, well, look, they're going to Tampa, a 99-win team, they're resilient again, and they figure out a way how to really blow out Tampa and win 2 games. So to me, resiliency might be the term for this team.
What went through your mind when you heard and saw that Max Scherzer was going to be a part of this roster going into the ALCS?
Excited, but I'm also nervous.
Okay.
And here's why. Because I think the expectation is his name's Max Scherzer, so he's just going to go out and throw 6 no-hit innings. It is not easy to do. Nate Eovaldi had one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball this year till the All-Star break. And then right after the All-Star break, he threw great against Tampa and then didn't pitch for 6+ weeks approximately. And we saw how much time it took him to come back. Now, Max Scherzer, overall career-wise, he's a future Hall of Famer, and Nathan Eovaldi right now isn't. But I'm excited. But I think there's also this expectation of, oh, he's back, so he's just going to be a Hall of Fame in his prime pitcher. And I think kind of you have to temper the expectation and go, this is so exciting, and Max Scherzer might be able to will himself and all these things, but he also might lack command when he goes into the game and struggle with, putting together sequences where, hey, I have my fastball, but I just can't seem to find my slider with the break on it. So I'm super excited. I'm glad he's on it. This makes for another great storyline. And, man, it'd be awesome if he pitches a premium inning or a couple premium innings to really help you win a game or two. But I also understand how tough it is to pitch a baseball when you haven't been doing it competitively for a month.
So, Mike, let's turn our attention specifically to tonight's game with these two teams. And we'll start with the Rangers and their pitching staff. Jordan Montgomery making his third postseason road start of these playoffs, going up against this tough Astros lineup. How are you looking to attack this lineup if you're Jordan Montgomery tonight against the Astros?
So when Montgomery has been his best is he's expanded the zone. Here's the tough part about the Houston Astros. They're one of the best in baseball, especially when healthy, when they have all of their big weapons, Yordan Alvarez and Tucker and Altuve and Bregman, and the list goes on and on. Chas McCormick is a Ranger killer this year. They seem to be very disciplined hitters and don't chase a lot out of the zone. So I do think on both sides, but specifically for Jordan Montgomery, he needs to get the Astros in as many chase counts as possible. And what I mean by that is obviously strike one. If you get 0-1, you get 1 and 2. Those are counts where guys have a lot of trouble laying off of close balls. But if he's on 2-1 counts, 1-0 counts, 3-1 counts, those guys are very disciplined. And that's why the Astros keep winning year in and year out, is because a lot of things, but one of them is they have very talented hitters. They're also overall a very disciplined lineup. So for Montgomery, he needs to, in a way, get them undisciplined. But the way you do that is you live on the edges early in the count, throw your strikes, and then expand from there. And when he does that, he's been very successful.
Conversely, for this Rangers lineup going up against Justin Verlander, not the same Justin Verlander of the dominant years, with his time with the Tigers and beyond. What does this Rangers lineup with Marcus Semien and others need to do to attack Justin Verlander tonight?
Well, it's kind of the same answer, just from the Texas Rangers standpoint, is don't chase. His stuff is still really good. I'd say his stuff is still top 20% in Major League Baseball, but it's not top 5% in Major League Baseball. Maybe top 1% where he was. It's pretty much Verlander and probably Kershaw for a while having the best stuff. Max Scherzer was up there. But now his stuff is still really good. It's still above average, but I think you can wait him out, and you can, if you're looking for a certain pitch, certain location, if you get the right count, right situation, you can take advantage of Justin Verlander, where a lot of hitters in Major League Baseball have struggled in the past. But I believe the Astros believe that they can score in this game and in game one. But I also believe the Rangers believe that they can score in this game too. I don't think they're looking at Justin Verlander I know he was great last year and won the Cy Young, but this isn't Justin Verlander of 2017 or 2019. He's a little bit different now. Still good, even borderline great, but not what he was.
Mike Basset of the KNC Masterpiece joining me here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show here, getting you ready for game one of the ALCS between your Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. And these two teams, the rivalry that has been detailed, that will be introduced to a national stage tonight. If you're talking to someone who is looking at these two teams play for the first time, especially on this stage, what would you tell them about what this rivalry means between the Astros and the Rangers?
Well, I'd say, one, Houston hates Dallas and Dallas hates Houston. And look, we respect each other, as in we're all Texans type of deal. But I don't think people outside of the state of Texas understand how much Houston hates Dallas-Fort Worth, and how much Dallas-Fort Worth looks really down upon Houston, as it's a second city to us. It is not the major city. And I think a lot of people nationally see Dallas-Fort Worth as more of, especially Dallas, as the major city in the state of Texas. It ticks off Houston. Then when you get specifically into Astros-Rangers, just over this last decade of Houston moving into the American League, Texas dominated them, embarrassed them, and then right around 2017, everything changed. And the Astros have been dominating the Texas Rangers ever since. And now, finally, really in the history of it, besides about 2015 and 16, this is the only year, the third year probably ever, that you can say the Astros and the Rangers are competitively about the same. Because at first it was the Astros are rebuilding in the American League, then the Rangers have been rebuilding. So this is the first time in a while that you could say both of these teams actually have a quality product to put against each other.
And you detailed it a little bit earlier, and I want to dive into it just a little bit more because the last time these two teams saw each other, it was a historic beatdown at the hands of the Houston Astros at Globe Life Field. I think the Astros may have just hit another home run based off of what happened those 3 games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what do you think that team and the Rangers learned from those 3 games that they believe they can take with them going up against the Astros this time?
Well, that's a great question. One, you would say this does tie into kind of Cowboys, 49ers. One, that was in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But two, you do not want the Astros winning this game by 5 or more runs tonight because it brings all of those demons up. Are we good enough? Can we compete with this team? Because we're not competing. They're blowing us out. There wasn't a competitive matchup the last 3 times. So for me, I'm not saying the Rangers have to win this game. But as long as they play it really close and there's moments where we could talk about this game tonight, tomorrow morning, and we say, hey, if this would have happened, if he would have got a hit right here, the Rangers would have won a game. If he would have made a big pitch here, the Rangers would have won the game. Now, you want to win. You got to win 4 out of 7. But the one thing is I do not want the demons of the past of that doubt to creep into the Rangers' mind because if the Astros blow out the Rangers tonight, we're all humans, whether we're Major League Baseball players or just watching the game. If you get blown out tonight, those demons, I think, will be a little bit inside the Rangers going, oh, no, can we really compete with these guys when there's this much on the line?
So if you're Bruce Bochy, then how are you managing and approaching this series with all the experience that he has as a 3-time World Series champion and how he's going to have to manage the emotions for some of these guys who haven't necessarily been there in this particular moment?
Well, I love what you're saying. I think sometimes that does come down to Bochy or the manager, but I do think a lot of times it comes down to having players who've been through it because players look up to players more than they look up to managers, and I think that was Baltimore's issue. Baltimore's a very talented team, and I think Baltimore next year will be more playoff ready. But I do think having Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, Will Smith, Aroldis Chapman, there's a lot of players that the Rangers, who don't have any experience in this, can look to. And the other thing, they do have a little bit of experience of playing in their 5 playoff games this year. So I don't want to go to the Astros will beat the Rangers because of experience, because there is a lot of experience on the Rangers. First time they've gone through it together, but there's enough experience that I don't think that will be an excuse for the Rangers if they don't win this series.
So let's look at it then. The Rangers win tonight because they do what, Mike?
Well, there's a basic answer. One is Montgomery pitches better than Verlander. Why do I say that? Look, it's still the weakness of the Texas Rangers. How they've gotten this far with this bullpen is the most astonishing thing. The Rangers have to be winning after 6 innings. If the Rangers are not winning after 6 innings, I don't know how our bullpen keeps them at 0, let's say in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and the Rangers score 3 or 4 runs against the Astros bullpen. So one of the keys in pretty much to every game is, can you eliminate as much as possible the Rangers' weakness, and that is the bullpen. And one of the ways to do that is you don't really want to be in a tie game after 5 or 6 because I think major advantage to the Astros. That being said, the Rangers, look, it's really tough to do in these things, but can they get off to a Tampa Bay start or like out of 2 out of the 3 games against Baltimore where you get off to such a start after 5 innings, the other team is just in shock going, how are these guys crushing so many balls in so many different situations? So I just think the Rangers' basic one is Montgomery outpitch Verlander, be up by 2 runs after 5 innings. That gives you the best chance to win.
All right, before I get you out of here, what is your message to Rangers fans tonight as they get ready for games 1 and 2 in Houston before they welcome this team back to Globe Life Field for games 3 and 4? What's your message to Rangers fans going into tonight's game?
Enjoy this moment. It's the 3rd time ever in the history. My sons, who are 15 and 13, don't remember all 2010 and 2011. And I'd say enjoy every pitch. It's nerve-wracking, and it's frustrating, and it's enjoyable, and it's exciting. And this is the first time when you talk to guys like David Murphy, he says, all of a sudden baseball, which is always baseball, turns into football. And all of a sudden you're watching tonight an ALCS, Houston and Texas, your biggest rival, and you're watching a playoff football game where every play matters. Did you get a first down? Did you flip the field? You know, how is your quarterback looking after a couple series? That can determine maybe how, when I'm talking about Verlander and Montgomery, hey, watch the first inning. See if they're hitting their location. See if they're moving the ball up, down, side to side. If they're doing stuff like that, it means, hey, I think you can go deeper in the game. If he's missing, but whether we're hitting rockets or they're hitting rockets, but they're being caught, you got to say, hey, we're getting a little bit lucky here. He's not hitting his spots, but we're getting lucky. So it becomes really fun to watch baseball now, and also nerve-wracking, just like watching a football game.
You can catch him every single day, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., part of the KMC Masterpiece right here on 105 through the Fan. He is Mike Basset. Mike, thank you so much for the time and the perspective, sir. Enjoy tonight's game, and we'll look forward to your coverage tomorrow on the KMC Masterpiece.
Thanks, KG. Let's go Rangers.
There he goes, Mike Basset, good enough to join me here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show right here on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, Levi Weaver of The Athletic, writer of The Athletics Windup, will join me to give us his thoughts on how the Rangers and the Astros will play out in this ALCS. We do it next on 105.3 The Fan.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
Football legend Emmitt Smith talking about all new regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
But did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies that are natural, restorative, and long-lasting.
The body is an amazing thing. Trust me, I put mine through a lot.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. When you Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call QC Kinetics, 972-972-8610. That's 972-972-8610. 972-972-8610.
Let's go, Dallas! Let's go! Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If anyone knows that, Ciroc does. From the tailgate to the touchdown, Ciroc Ultra Premium Vodka makes game day a smooth one. And with flavors that never fumble, man, game day is an instant win.
This is Ciroc.
Made from fine French grapes.
Made for football.
Get Ciroc and Ciroc Vodka Spritz during the next Cowboys game.
Please drink responsibly. Ciroc Vodka, 40% alcohol by volume. Imported from France by Diageo, New York, New York.
Imagine moving into your new home before selling your old home. For top dollar, you can with Orchard. Here's one couple's story. Moving to Texas for work, they needed to sell their old home first, move, rent an apartment, then move into their new home. Total nightmare. But with Orchard's Move First program, they could sell their old home after moving into their new home. Buy your next home before you sell. Get a free no obligation cash offer from Orchard.com. That's Orchard.com.
Attention football fans, it's your boy Nate Newton at J. Alexander Law. It's that time of year again, and your safety and the safety of others is our top priority. This is football season. Make the right call. Don't drink and drive. Plan ahead, a designated driver, or use of other transportations. Let's keep the game exciting. Remember, at J. Alexander Law, we believe responsible choices make real champions. J. Alexander Law, 888-88-INJURED. 888-88-INJURED.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros.
find new roads.
Back on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show here on your home of the Rangers 105 through the fan. Kevin Gray in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Really appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app, the truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053 if you want to get in on the conversation. Appreciate Mike Basset for joining us last segment via the Boomer Jacks Bar and Grill hotline as we get you ready for Game 1 between your Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. First pitch at 7:15 tonight on Fox and on the Louisiana Hot Sauce Rangers Radio Network. The official pregame show beginning at 6:30 with my guy, your guy, our favorite guy, Texas Rangers insider and play-by-play man, Jared Sandler. He'll rejoin me at the top of the hour as you give us our predictions going into tonight's game. Right now, though, we go back to the Boomer Jacks Bar and Grill hotline where we welcome in one of our favorites here at 105 through the fan. He's the writer of the Wind-Up MLB newsletter for The Athletic. You can find him on Twitter at 32ephus. He is my man, Levi Weaver. Levi, what's going on?
Man, I got to follow Basset. I'm not sure. You should have had me open. He should have been the headliner. I'm all nervous now.
If anybody was made for primetime situations, it was you, my guy. You are definitely able to handle business as we get ready for Rangers Astros. Are you in Houston taking in this series, or are you back in the comforts of your home at the moment?
I am not in Houston.
Okay.
Fortunately, we got a Cody Stavenhagen, who is usually the Athletics Tigers writer, is covering the Rangers full time. And honestly, like, Rangers fans should be happy. Like, Cody's fantastic, one of my favorite writers, and I'm glad that he is on the Rangers beat. And there was maybe some talk of me pulling a little bit of double duty, but I genuinely just, I don't sleep as it is. So I would have done a horrible job. I'm glad they got Cody. I'll be at the home games though. Okay.
So looking forward to seeing you at Globe Life Field beginning for games 3 and 4 for sure. And for Rangers fans, there could be a nervous excitement, just excitement in general. But let's start before we get to the actual series itself. Kind of the journey of which this team has gone to get to this point. How would you describe what the Rangers as a team have been through to get to this point back in the ALCS for the first time since 2011?
Yeah, there was, you tend to think of these cycles as being, you ramp up until you get to a World Series. Eventually your team ages out or budgets out and you crash and burn and you lose as many games as possible. And, that's the rebuild stage. And then pretty soon you get all these draft picks, build yourself back up. And on the way up to the top, you sign a couple of big free agents or you make a couple of big trades to put yourself over the top and you're back in business, baby. The Rangers kind of did that. But it was a weird way of going about it because, they were in the World Series in 2010 and 11. 2012, they were still very good. 2013, they were very good. 2014 was that weird year where everybody got injured, and I think they used like 900 players. You and I played for the Rangers at some point that year. And then in 15, we thought, okay, well, it's probably time for the rebuild. No, they came back and went to the playoffs again in 15 and 16, and we're like, here we go, they're sustainable. Not only are they good, they've got this next wave of talent coming in, and Joey Gallo's going to hit 50 home runs a year, and Nomar Mazar is the best pure hitter they've had since, Pudge Rodriguez or, whatever. And, all of these guys that were supposed to come up and be the next wave to just, run it back and keep the party going. Rougned Odor was, a spark plug at second base. Pick your favorite Rangers pitching prospect. Chichi Gonzalez was supposed to be the second coming of Greg Maddux. Almost all those guys did not exactly pan out like hoped. And it just kind of went real bad real quick. And they didn't have a young core of guys that they thought they did. And so, made some trades. They did go through some very difficult years where they lost a lot of games. They shifted their draft sort of focus. And all of a sudden you've got Josh Young and Evan Carter. And, on the brink, you've got guys like maybe Justin Foscue or Jack Leiter, but they went ahead and before that next wave of guys got there, before Young made it to the big leagues, before Carter made it there, they went in and signed those big free agents that you would normally associate a team waiting until they're on the upswing and they know that this young core is working out. Then they add to that to put them over the top. I mean, the Rangers did it backwards. They went and they got Simeon, they got Seager, John Gray, and then as things are starting to come together, then they went and got Jake DeGrom, they went and got Nate Eovaldi, and they supplemented those superstars with the young guys coming up. It was almost just like doing it in reverse. I don't remember seeing it done that way before, and I was very curious to see if it was going to work, and so far it has. I mean, say what you will about the bullpen weakness, they've been okay in the playoffs, and so far the Rangers have looked pretty unstoppable.
Even with the way that the bullpen has performed so far in this postseason, is that still your biggest concern for this Rangers team going into the series against the Astros?
Absolutely. So I will rank my concerns. One is the bullpen, because we've seen it so many times. There have been so many blown saves this year, and God bless him, Jose Leclerc has looked much better in the last month, but you see these things play out enough times. Aroldis Chapman can be dominating. He can also come in and not be able to find the strike zone. Who do you have after that, right? Like a year ago, we would have said Brock Burke is going to be nasty in the late innings. He's not even on the ALCS roster. He's had such a bad year. So, that's definitely my big concern. My second concern would be that the lineup has been very streaky this year. We've seen stretches where they look like, adults playing in a children's league. We've also seen stretches like that last week in Seattle where it looked like they were just completely flummoxed and could not figure out how to get on base, could not figure out how to drive runners. And once those runners were on base, it just looked like a completely different team. If the Rangers' offense is hot, I think they are the best team still remaining in baseball of the four. If their offense is not hot, I think they're the weakest of the four. There's just not a whole lot of in between. And then I guess my third concern would be the health of the starting rotation. Obviously, Max Scherzer is still coming back from an injury. We haven't seen him pitch yet, but, back on the roster. Same for John Gray. Eovaldi, not that far removed from an injury. So that would be my third big concern.
Levi Weaver of The Athletic joining us here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan, getting you ready for game one of the American League Championship Series between the Rangers and the Astros. And let's look at it from Houston's perspective. Yes, this is their 7th consecutive ALCS appearance, but it doesn't feel the same dominant Astros team that we've seen over the last several years. What has been different about this team that makes them feel a little bit more vulnerable going into this ALCS appearance?
Well, you're probably not going to like this because the things that made them seem vulnerable early in the year have not seemed quite so vulnerable of late, right? Their starting rotation was shaky. Those guys have come to play in October. Christian Javier has looked great. Framber Valdez was always pretty good. They added Justin Verlander back. Their lineup was, it looked like Alex Bregman was just going to have a bad year. He's been better. Jose Abreu was awful for most of the season. He's all of a sudden hitting home runs. Yordan Alvarez has always been Alvarez. Jose Altuve has been Altuve, but even his first half wasn't as great. He's looked better in the second half and looked better of late. So you're right that, taking big picture, they don't look as dominant as they have in years past, but they have played much better of late, and I don't think that anyone should overlook them or think that they are going to be an easy matchup for the Rangers, because they absolutely will not be.
And let's stick with that, because you mentioned with Justin Verlander being reacquired by this team, from the New York Mets, and what he has added to this rotation. What does he present to this Rangers lineup that could really give them some issues going into game one tonight?
We could break down his fastball and his repertoire and all of that. The Rangers can hit. The Rangers can hit. They're good hitters. They're going to hit. There's not a pitch that he has that's a magic pitch that can't be hit. But he has just got so much experience at being there in these big games and not letting his heart speed up on him. He's a big game pitcher that's been through a lot. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't know how he's still doing it at 75 years old, but he is still one of the best pitchers in the game, and the best rise to the top. So it's not so much that there's one thing that I think he does that Rangers hitters, it's not like they can't handle a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, right? They can. But when he's locating well and when he is sequencing well and he executes his pitches like he does, and that is the big thing, is anybody can have a game plan, but if you can execute it, you are going to succeed more often than not. He's got a lot of experience executing it, so hopefully the Rangers can get to him early. But yeah, it's not going to be an easy task.
So let's look at it from both teams' point of view here then. The Rangers win this series because they do what, Levi?
Hit the ever-loving mess out of the baseball.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And honestly, that's my answer for the other one too. Like,
yeah,
I think the Astros have a better bullpen. The Rangers might have better starters, and I think the Rangers have the edge on offense. But it's just whichever team. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of 2-0 wins. I think we'll probably see a fair number of like 9-6 scores. Of course, now watch Jordan Montgomery go out and get a 1-0 win. But I do think we'll see a lot of runs scored in this series.
And finally, before I get you out of here, the rivalry itself being introduced on a national stage between the Rangers and the Astros. If you were to tell someone about this rivalry and what it means to these two teams in these cities and now having a chance to see it play out on this stage, what would you tell them?
I think it's a sibling rivalry, right? Like if you put, a group of guys from Dallas and a group of guys from Houston in a bar in, Chicago, and somebody goes, Texas sucks. Those Houston boys and Dallas boys are going to lock arms and be brothers, right? Like, it's like, how dare you? And the moment they get back across the state line, they'll be like, Houston sucks. No, Dallas sucks. And they will both have their valid points that they believe are, why they're the best city. It is heated. I mean, nobody fights you like your sibling, right? It is a heated rivalry. It has been for probably about as long as the Astros have been in the American League. Both teams have taken turns being good while the other one was bad. And then there have been a few short periods where they were both good. But this definitely ranks it up to another level altogether. And whatever way it turns out, and honestly, I've gone over these scenarios. I could see the Astros sweeping the Rangers, and I would not be surprised. I could see the Rangers sweeping the Astros, and I also wouldn't be that surprised. Anything in between, it is all very much a real possibility. But whatever happens, baseball fans in Texas are going to remember the next 10 days or so for the rest of their lives. Like, this will always be the first time the Astros and Rangers met up in the playoffs, and it is going to be heated. The trash talk is going to be absurd and probably at times hurtful. And I'm probably just going to stay off Twitter for the entirety of it because holy cow. Yeah, this is going to be a big one.
You can find him on Twitter at 32EFS. He is the writer of the Wind Up MLB newsletter for The Athletic, one of our favorites here at 105 through the fan, covering all things Major League Baseball. He is Levi Weaver. Levi, thank you so much for the time and the perspective, sir, and enjoy Game 1 tonight, man. Appreciate it.
Happy to do it. We'll talk to you guys anytime.
There he goes, Levi Weaver of The Athletic, good enough to join us here on 105.3 The Fan. It is the Rangers ALCS pregame super show here on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, Jared Sandler rejoins me live from Houston to help give us his predictions on what will happen tonight. And I want you to let me know on the TruckRadio.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. What are your predictions tonight between the Rangers and the Astros for Game 1 of the ALCS? We do it next on your home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan.
Always a welcome sign for this clubhouse. Featuring breaking sports news, inside info, opinion, with laughs along the way. Turn it on, leave it on. The Fan and the Odyssey app.
If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Even though that's an old adage, it's still very true today. And it's especially true of your old 401k. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, asking you to get that old 401k in sight and out of the company you no longer work for. But don't roll it into your new 401k. That could be one of the worst things you do. Of course that's easy. But when has the easiest way ever been the best way? Instead, call Trajan Wealth and learn about all of your options, including a way to earn an upfront bonus of up to 25% for your future income just for rolling it over. That's right. You could earn up to a 25% bonus for your retirement income just for rolling that 401k over with Trajan Wealth. Don't roll that 401k into your new company plan. Don't do it without calling Trajan Wealth first. Call 469-579-3500 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
At Sherwin-Williams, we deliver personalized service, business building tools, and cutting-edge solutions to help you manage and grow your business more easily. From product recommendations to project guidance, we ensure you have everything you need to get the job done. Plus, our exclusive Pro Plus pricing helps you stay on budget. Visit your local Sherwin-Williams store to get the products you love from the paint experts you trust. We save you time, plus we save you money.
You're getting 2/3 of Susie Bloom, about half of Nick DeGangi, and maybe 40% of Sarah Plummer on a good day. Your people probably won't bring their whole selves to work if you don't give them the support they deserve. Cigna Healthcare helps your employees feel empowered.
The managers, both of them on their way to Cooperstown at some point. The stars on both of these sides. What ultimately does this series come down to in your mind, given all the things that we have discussed around the individual matchups, these lineups, the managers themselves going into tonight's game?
Well, it's tough to boil it down to one thing. I think for the Astros, their starting pitching is a big wild card. Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, those are two names who suggest quality pitching, but Framber Valdez has really struggled. He's not been consistent, and he has not been great against the Rangers. Justin Verlander's been good. He's been up and down, but he's not the guy he used to be. And Christian Javier, I don't know what to expect out of him. He was, below average for most of the year, and he's been outstanding here recently. So if the Astros get great outings from those guys, it's going to be tough for the Rangers. I think for the Rangers, it's easy to say, well, it's the bullpen, and I don't think that that's an unfair take. I think let's go with the two guys who got added to the roster. Let's go with Max Scherzer and John Gray. I think if John Gray can provide this team with quality work out of the bullpen, and Max Scherzer can give this team a competitive outing in his start, I think that bodes really well for the Rangers and helps line up some other dominoes. But there's so many things with these two teams when you really get into it, who they are, what they are, how they tick, their strengths, their warts, all that stuff. But those are two things that stand out. The Justin Verlander getting the start tonight, I do think that this is a game in which you can see some runs. I would be surprised if this was a game in which at the end of it the Rangers had less than 4 runs on the board. I think they can get to Justin Verlander.
One of the things that I'm looking for, especially in tonight's game, I would love to see a fast start, particularly for Marcus Semien. We detailed it a little bit earlier. 174 so far this postseason, has had good success in his career against Justin Verlander. His ability to set the tone and the table for this team. And for me, take this crowd out of it, a crowd that's going to be in it and lively, pun intended, will be ready to go tonight when it comes to this particular team. I think a fast start for the Rangers would be what the doctor ordered, particularly for Marcus Semien.
Yeah, that'd be great. And, so one thing that sort of brings up, this Astros bullpen has been used and abused. And in talking to some Astros folks, they've kind of thinned out that circle of trust, which, you'd expect in the playoffs. But for the Astros, part of their strength, especially last year, they were so deep that their bullpen circle of trust was vast. And, it just doesn't appear to be the case right now. And if you can set the tone here in Game 1 and forcing the Astros to get to their bullpen early, that could really not only bode well for tonight, but it helps over the course of the series. And, I think if the Rangers can get to the Astros bullpen before the end of the 6th inning, in each of the first 3 or 4 games, I think that might lead to good things in games 5, 6, and 7. And getting off to a fast start and being disciplined against Justin Verlander is one way to do that.
And you detailed some of those relievers. We're talking about Brian Abreu, Hector Neris, and Presley themselves. What has been some of the things that have made them potentially gettable in this series for the Rangers that you're speaking of?
Well, Abreu's the guy I don't want to deal with.
Sure.
For my money, he's been their best reliever, a big strikeout guy. He will walk guys, but he doesn't give up hits, and it's tough to put the ball in play against him. With Neris, no one has pitched more than Hector Neris over the last, 6 or 7 years, since 2016. We're talking about a guy that's made at least 70 appearances in the regular season 5 times in that stretch, including each of the last 3 years. Now, he had an outstanding regular season. His ERA was 1.71, but there are a lot of reasons to believe that maybe he got a little bit fortune on the luck side of things. You look at some of the underlying numbers, they're not nearly as flattering, but, let's just say, let's give him credit. He did a really nice job. Now, so far in the postseason, he's had 2 outings, and in one of those outings it worked out, and the other one it didn't. Hector Neris is a guy that I would not mind facing, and the Rangers have faced him quite a bit. I'm not so scared about him. I do want to avoid Brian Abreu, and I'll tell you, DFW's Ryan Presley is a guy who I keep waiting for him to wear down, and he did hit a little bit of a wall I think it was in early September, but he's been nails in the postseason in his career, and so far this year, nothing's been different. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter with Ryan Presley. It doesn't matter how much he's been used in the playoffs. He's been really good. But you talk about guys like Phil Maton and Hector Neris, bring them on. Not so concerned. Kendall Graveman, bring them on. Guys like that in this Astros bullpen, I'm not too concerned about. And it's not that they're not good; they are really good. But I just think that the Rangers have a chance to, if they get to the bullpen early, make some hay. And also, I should mention this. I mentioned Kendall Graveman. He has not pitched this postseason with some arm issues. He's not going to be available. He's not on the postseason roster, so you don't have to worry about Kendall Graveman, a guy the Astros acquired prior to the trade deadline.
Couple more predictions on the truckwreck.com text line, 877-881-1053 from the 903. Rangers in 7 from the 214, stealing game 1 tonight. So a lot of people looking to see if this Rangers team can get off to a good start tonight. As far as Jordan Montgomery taking the mound for the Texas Rangers, Justin Verlander doing the same for the Houston Astros, and what it means for these two teams tonight. And we will see how those things play out in game 1. Again, first pitch at 7:15 on Fox and, of course, on the Louisiana Hot Sauce Rangers Radio Network, the official pregame show beginning here in about 20 minutes. Let's take our final break here on our Rangers ALCS pregame super show. Kevin Gray live in our DFWsecurity.com studios. Jared Sandler in Houston at Minute Maid Park. We will get his final thoughts going into tonight's game as we get you ready for ALCS Game 1 between the Rangers and the Astros. We do it next on 105.3 The Fan.
Coming up Monday morning on Sean and RJ, Rangers Game 1 in Houston, and we get you ready for the Cowboys and the Chargers. It's a Monday morning on The Fan.
Sean and RJ is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Sean and RJ here for BetterHelp. Sometimes we're faced with a crossroads in life, and we don't know which path to take. Maybe you're thinking about a career change or feeling like your relationship needs some TLC. Whatever it is, therapy can help you map out your future and trust yourself to find the better way forward. Use Sean and RJ as the promo code at BetterHelp.com. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Sean and RJ.
It doesn't matter what you're going through. You can get help. You can talk to somebody. I'm a big proponent of it. Life's good right now. It wasn't always. I owe a lot of my recovery to getting help, talking things out. Relationships, job, family matters. It doesn't matter. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Sean and RJ. You get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/Sean and RJ.
Imagine moving into your new home before selling your old home. For top dollar.
On our near 3 hours and 15 minutes. If you missed anything during our show, you can hit the rewind button on the Odyssey app. Want to thank our guests who joined us on our show today. Plenty of star-studded guests that joined us today. Matt Hicks, live from Maid Park. Derek Holland, he joined us at 4:20 today. Also, Mike Basset of the KNC Masterpiece joined us at 5:20, and Levi Weaver of The Athletic joining us at 5:40 today. Really appreciate all of those gentlemen for hanging out with us today as we get you ready for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between your Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. The truckbreak.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053 if you want to get in on the conversation. Some more predictions coming in on the truckbreak.com text line. For some, it is all about the Rangers from the 214 stealing Game 1 tonight. Is their big deal going into tonight's game. And look, before we get out of here, I want to make sure I play this piece of audio because Ken Rosenthal, this is going to be cut number 23. He joined the KNC Masterpiece, and he details this story about Chris Young and what his work ethic was and has been for this team and the lengths that he was willing to go to and how it has so far paid off for him. Take a listen.
Sure. And what happened was, and I didn't know this until the other night when I was talking to Chris Young, and he kind of laid it out for me. They were negotiating, Chris Young and Evaldi's agent, a guy named Seth Levinson, on Christmas Eve. And this is not uncommon in baseball. Teams, general managers, agents ignore holidays. They work all the time in the off season, and the calendar does not really change things. It used to be the sport would shut down for 2 weeks around Christmas. That doesn't happen anymore. So Young is negotiating this deal on Christmas Eve, and his wife, Liz, is not happy with him, that he's working on Christmas Eve, and that's family time. It's a time to celebrate, right? So the other night, and Chris said it was around the 7th inning when Evaldi came off the mound, and the fans gave him the curtain call. His wife, Liz, turned to him and said, okay, I guess Christmas Eve was worthwhile. And I thought it was really funny, just because I've lived this myself. In fact, I was working Christmas Eve this year, too, chasing a different story. So that's baseball. It's not something that anyone in baseball is necessarily proud of, but I thought it was an interesting story when he told it. That's why I started my column with it after the game.
And, Jared, there are plenty of individuals in this game and in sports in general who have that kind of tireless work ethic. But I thought it was really cool of Rosenthal to kind of detail what this general manager has been able to help put together and some of the things that it has taken to get this team to this point. And now for this team to be at this particular point of the season, I think is a credit and a testament to the entirety of the organization, just encapsulated there by that story that Ken Rosenthal tells there.
Yeah, and I would tell you, we don't have time to go into everyone and list every name, but there are a lot of people getting a lot of attention for the Rangers being here, and then there are so many people who play such a big role who don't get the attention. The people part of Chris Young's team and the analysts, a part of the traveling party who help prepare these guys on a nightly basis, and it is a huge effort, and it's not only a huge effort, but it's a 365 effort. Ken Rosenthal mentioned, no longer are there dead periods, and so anyone, whether it's Chris Young or Dana Brown or any of the GMs around the league, I mean, this is a full-on, full-life commitment, and they go through a lot, and I'm just happy we got a guy in Chris Young who is willing to do what it takes to help get this team where we all want them to be, and his predecessor John Daniels was the same way, and the Rangers have been really fortunate in that regard.
Before we get to tonight's game, you are someone who obviously is a broadcaster, a professional, but you are a Rangers fan at heart. Real quick, can you put this night into perspective, regardless of how tonight's game in this series goes and what has been taking place for this team to get to this point?
Oh, the organization's been around more than 50 years. It's only the third time the Rangers have been in this spot, in the ALCS. And, I've said this to fans, and I can't tell fans how to fan, but I understand that we all want the Rangers to win the World Series, and we are dying for it to happen for the very first time. And maybe this is the year. I hope it is. And if it isn't, we're all going to be really upset, in the moments in which we learn it's not the year. And maybe for the days, maybe weeks ahead. But I hope that people are just enjoying the ride And at some point, we'll be able to look back fondly on this season no matter how it ends, because we just went through 6 straight years in which the Rangers didn't even come close to playing in the playoffs. And I think being a fan is, yes, celebrating a World Series, a Super Bowl, a Stanley Cup, winning the NBA Finals, but it's about so many of the moments in between. And whether it's a father and a son, a mother and a daughter, just someone by themselves, there are a lot of memories to be had. And I hope that people get more memories throughout this season. But that's just, to me, that's what stands out. I'm going to be really upset when this thing comes to an end if it doesn't end with the Rangers winning the final game of the season. But there's so many great moments from this year, so many great moments from this run. I'm never going to forget Nathan Eovaldi getting the curtain call after his 7 innings of work, and just the roar of the crowd when Adolis Garcia hit the home run, and the fact that we got an entire fan base that now all of a sudden are big fans of Creed. I hope people enjoy this, but this is a great step for this organization, and I hope that this is just one step in a run of several years of competitiveness, which is what Chris Young has said time and time again, what he's trying to accomplish.
No matter what this season has brought for this team, and looking forward to more postseason baseball from the Texas Rangers, and we've detailed this word throughout the course of the show, and it's the word resiliency, and the way that they have bounced back at times from poor play and being able to put themselves in this position. It is a testament to all of these men in that clubhouse, Bruce Bochy in the front office, for getting to this spot and now having a chance on this stage against this team that has been there and done that. I couldn't be more excited to watch the Texas Rangers be able to shine on this stage and continue what has been an incredible start to a postseason at 5-0, winning those first 2 games in Tampa on the road, throttling Baltimore in Game 3 of the division series to get them to this spot. They have earned every bit of this moment tonight to be here, and I hope for every Rangers fan that's going to be watching this entire series, they will be able to feel that collective moment and what the ride has been for this team. I'm excited as hell to watch this team and what they do tonight against Justin Verlander and the entire American League Championship Series. It should be a fun one. Jordan Montgomery making his 3rd postseason start on the road for this team has been tough as nails, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Rangers be able to continue what has been a hot start to this postseason. Jared, I really appreciate your time and your work today, sir. Enjoy the moment tonight, and looking forward to your call with Matt Hicks and the Hall of Famer Eric Nadel tonight, man. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Thanks, KG, and let's have some fun.
Let's do it. Coming up next on the Louisiana Hot Sauce Rangers Radio Network, it's the official pregame show of the Texas Rangers. My guy, your guy, our favorite guy, Texas Rangers insider Jared Sandler will take you to first pitch at 7:15 tonight. It is Rangers Astros, Game 1 of the American League Championship Series, live at Minute Maid Park. Appreciate you joining us today. Y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Sports with lots of laughs mixed in. Sean and RJ, the KNC Masterpiece, G-Bag Nation, and the Get Right. Turn it on, leave it on. 105.3 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
I'm a big believer in investing into what the wealthiest people in the world invest into. But it's not easy to know exactly what that is, and it hasn't always been possible for regular folks like you and I. But that's changing. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and if you've done a good job acquiring some assets, now is the time to consider private equity. Private equity is ownership of private companies that aren't traded on the stock market and in most cases are very exclusive. Examples could include ownership of apartments or nursing homes, dental practices, solar farms, you name it. Why do